Welcome to Jailverse, where love is never simple and every story hides a twist. From stolen glances to forbidden desires, we bring you GL stories that will make your heart race. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And if you'd like to support the channel, you can send a super thanks or buy me a coffee using the link in the description below. Now step into the verse.
I held the letter with trembling hands, my heart pounding as I confessed my feelings, silently begging her to give me a chance. Young Aerin stood in front of me, her expression unreadable, her calm gaze making my nerves feel even heavier. Her eyes sharpened slightly, and I sensed a cold distance forming before she even spoke. I felt my face heat up as embarrassment washed over me, my confidence crumbling under the weight of the moment. I bowed forward, offering the letter with both hands, hoping my sincerity would reach her even if my words failed. She finally spoke, her voice hesitant, as if she were choosing her words carefully. Her words struck me deeply, sharper than I expected, leaving me frozen in shock and disbelief. She turned away, her expression distant and firm, as if she had already closed her heart to me. The memory burned itself into my mind, my chest aching as I realized how vulnerable I had been. I remember it clearly now, my hands shaking, my heart breaking, and the silence that followed her rejection. It was a summer day when I was 15, the day my first love turned away, leaving behind a pain I would never forget. I heard countless rumors about her drifting through the air, each whisper painting young Aerin as someone difficult and distant. Besides that, I couldn't help thinking she had every reason to dislike me after what happened back then. I knew it probably started with that embarrassing afternoon after school, the day I made a mistake I could never forget. I had walked into the wrong clubroom without knocking, only to find her there, caught off guard just as much as I was. I still remember her sharp gaze and my own panic, my heart racing as I stood frozen beside her. Her words were firm and cold, telling me never to let her see my face again, and those words stayed with me for years. That moment became a scar in my memory, one I carried quietly as time moved on. 10 years later, fate brought me back to her, my heart pounding as I finally faced her once more. "Aerin, I'm back," I said softly, unsure if she even wanted to hear my voice again. Seeing her standing there as an adult felt unreal, the distance between us filled with unspoken emotions and memories. The shattered silence around us mirrored what I felt inside, fragile and uncertain. As I looked at her again, I realized that beneath all the misunderstandings, my feelings for her had never truly faded. I let out a shaky laugh, trying to hide how tense I felt as the moment slipped out of my control. I looked down at her with a knowing smile, calling her name as if I had caught her trying to escape again. She turned her face away, her eyes burning with frustration and memories she didn't want to relive. I noticed how close I stood now, her presence overwhelming, leaving me with nowhere to retreat. My hands moved with calm confidence, stopping her before she could pull away, reminding her how powerless she felt around me. I spoke softly but firmly, saying that if she stopped pretending to be strong, things wouldn't have to be so difficult between us. She lay still, staring up at me, her heart racing as confusion and old feelings tangled inside her. When I tried to move again, she caught my wrist, her grip not cruel but unyielding, as if she refused to let me run anymore. She snapped back at me, anger masking the fear and hurt she didn't know how to express. I leaned in close, my voice calm, asking what was wrong this time, as if I already knew the answer. In the end, all I could think was that despite everything, time, distance, and pain, she still seemed to hate me, and that realization hurt more than I wanted to admit. Right in front of my eyes stood the girl I fell in love with at first sight, her presence quietly stealing my breath without her even knowing. That memory takes me back to 2 months ago, when everything between us began, without warning. I saw her holding her report card, being criticized for placing second, her achievements dismissed despite how hard she worked. I overheard her apologizing softly, her voice calm but tired, while someone coldly asked who had taken first place. That was when I learned the name Kwang Ji-hyun, the person always standing above her. She explained gently that many teachers admired Jihyun because she excelled at everything, her words carrying neither jealousy nor resentment. Suddenly, the air shifted as anger burst forward, sharp and unavoidable, breaking the fragile calm of the moment. Before I could react, I saw her being struck, her body recoiling as if she were used to enduring pain in silence. My heart jumped into my throat as I watched helplessly, fear and disbelief freezing me in place. She turned away, her face flushed and shaken, trying to shield herself as if she didn't want anyone to see her hurt. In that instant, something deep inside me tightened. I realized that behind her strength was a loneliness no one else seemed to notice. And standing there, watching her endure it all, I knew my feelings for her weren't just admiration anymore. They were rooted in a quiet wish to protect her, no matter how distant she seemed. I saw her flinch as harsh words fell on her, accusing her of praising someone she was supposed to compete against. The voice continued, cold and controlling, reminding her to know her place and become only what was demanded of her. Then came the words that cut the deepest, reducing her worth and reminding her painfully of her past. She was ordered to walk home alone, left standing there as the car door slammed shut without a second glance. From a distance, I froze when I heard the word orphan, my chest tightening as I began to understand the truth behind her silence. People whispered that young Aerin from Class 1B was the worst, never knowing what she endured behind closed doors. I watched her profile as tears slipped free, her expression calm but wounded, as if she had learned long ago how to endure pain quietly. That was the moment I realized all those cruel words spoken about her were lies, shaped by fear and misunderstanding. Slowly, I began to understand that her cold rejection of me came from the way she was raised, not from cruelty in her heart. It became clear that her mother would never accept her being close to someone like me, and that fear controlled so much of her life. Even knowing all this, standing there and watching her from afar, I realized something simple and true. No matter how much she pushed people away, I couldn't bring myself to hate her. I only wanted to understand her more. I heard someone call her name, and when young Aerin turned around, her calm expression softened as she noticed me. She smiled and lifted her hand in a small wave, and in that instant, my heart skipped like it didn't know how to behave. Inside, I completely lost it. She was waving at me, smiling at me, and my thoughts turned into pure chaos and joy all at once. That simple gesture pulled me back into the past, to the days when I followed her clumsily, always a step behind. I remembered how confused and hurt I felt back then, never understanding why she kept her distance from me. My thoughts drifted back to school, to the girl who quietly stood beside her, Kwang Ji-hyun, always there without drawing attention. Ji-hyun had helped her in small, thoughtful ways, finding books, sharing smiles, and offering support without asking for anything in return. Watching them together, I couldn't deny how naturally close they looked, as if they understood each other without words. Seeing that bond made my chest ache, not with jealousy, but with a bittersweet realization. Even as tears blurred my vision, I understood one thing clearly. I still loved young Aerin, and no matter how complicated her world was, my feelings had never changed. I turned my back, the weight in my chest growing heavier as dark thoughts quietly pressed down on me. I told myself the truth I had always feared, that I would probably remain an outsider in her life. 10 years passed, and time reshaped me into someone older, calmer, but still carrying the same unresolved feelings. I caught my reflection in the glass, my eyes steadier now, yet filled with memories I never truly let go of. Sitting there in silence, I realized how much my life had changed, even though one name still lingered in my heart. Come to think of it, it had been years since I last heard anything about Ji-hyun, the person who was always by Aerin's side. Across the room, Aerin sat alone with a glass in her hand, her posture relaxed but her expression distant and unreadable. When I finally asked if she had heard any news about Ji-hyun, my voice was calm, even though my heart wasn't. Her answer came quickly and simply, no, and in that single word, I felt how much time and distance had truly changed everything. August 2012, during break time, I found myself outside classroom 2C, unaware that my world was about to shift. I was half asleep at my desk when the teacher's voice suddenly cut through the room, announcing a new student. I lifted my head slowly, confused, wondering who would transfer in at a time like this. Then I heard her name, Aerin, and a quiet stir passed through the classroom as she stepped inside. My heart skipped the moment I saw her, standing there with her bag in hand, calm and distant all at once. She introduced herself politely, her voice steady, as if she were used to rooms full of strangers. The teacher asked if anyone wanted to sit with her, and the class immediately filled with whispers and judgment. I heard them murmuring, calling her trouble, saying she brought bad luck, each word making my chest tighten. Before fear could stop me, I shot my hand up, my face burning as I volunteered without hesitation. The room fell silent, eyes wide with shock, as if no one expected someone like me to step forward. I called out her name and told her to sit with me, my voice loud, clumsy, but sincere. As she looked in my direction, surprise flickering across her face, I felt something warm bloom in my chest. That was the first time I chose her, before rumors, before fear, before understanding her pain. Looking back now, I realized that moment wasn't just bravery, it was the beginning of everything between us. She paused in silence, her gaze lingering on me for a brief moment, as if she were trying to read my intentions. The teacher laughed lightly, noting how obvious it was that Jihsoo seemed to like the newcomer, and the room buzzed with quiet reactions. With that, my seat was decided for her, and hearing her name said so casually made my heart race. She walked down the aisle toward me, her long hair swaying gently with each step, while the student beside my desk stood up without a word. As she drew closer, I felt every whisper fade away, replaced by the soft certainty that this was how our story truly began. She was coming toward me, and my heart started racing so fast it felt like it might leap right out of my chest. Happiness hit me all at once, so sudden and overwhelming that my thoughts completely scattered. I rushed forward without thinking, only to freeze in shock when she suddenly stopped, a quiet distance forming between us. She gently pulled out the chair beside mine, her movements calm and composed, as if this moment meant nothing special at all. We finally faced each other, and for a split second, our eyes met, just long enough to make my breath hitch. Her voice was soft and neutral as she pointed out the board at the front, grounding me back to reality. I snapped out of my daze, flustered and embarrassed, realizing I had misunderstood everything. As she settled into the seat ahead of me, I told myself not to overthink it, reminding my heart to calm down. Still, I couldn't help but feel a quiet tension linger between us, subtle, unspoken, and full of possibility. Even if she didn't sit beside me, having her so close felt like the start of something gentle and unforgettable. I took a deep breath and told myself to calm down. If I wanted to get closer to her, I needed a better plan than panicking. I turned around with a nervous smile, introducing myself as Jihsoo, just in case she hadn't caught my name earlier. My words stumbled out as I explained that she was new here and that there were probably many things about our class she didn't know yet. As I spoke, I stole a glance at her, hoping I didn't sound too awkward or eager. She listened quietly, her expression unreadable, but she didn't turn away, and that alone gave me a small spark of hope. In that simple exchange, I felt the distance between us shrink just a little, like the first careful step toward something gentle and new. With a nervous smile, I introduced myself properly, promising that I'd help her whenever she needed anything. She stayed quiet, her red eyes steady on me, and the silence stretched just long enough for doubt to creep in. My confidence crumbled as I wondered if she thought I was being annoying or foolish for talking so much. Trying to cover my embarrassment, I rambled on about transfer students, laughing awkwardly to fill the gap. She still didn't say a word, only lowering her gaze slightly, and that quiet reaction made my chest tighten. I started to say something else, reaching toward my desk without thinking. In that instant, I met her eyes, sharp, intense, and suddenly very close, and my breath caught. The pen slipped from my hand and shattered against the floor, the sound echoing far louder than it should have. I froze in place, my whole body stiff with shock and embarrassment as everyone turned to look. Heat rushed to my face as I stammered her name, apologizing quickly, afraid I had ruined everything. Even so, beneath the panic, my heart fluttered, because for the first time, her attention was fully on me. She sat frozen, her head lowered, her red hair falling like a curtain around her face. The classroom felt too quiet, as if everyone was holding their breath, including me. Something glinted on the floor. When she reached down, her fingers brushed against a broken pen tip. Her chest tightened instantly. In my mind, a memory surfaced to her, soft, pastel, and painfully distant. A younger version of her stood there, clutching a brand new pen with wide eyes. "Mom, is this really for me?" young Aerin asked. Her mother smiled gently and nodded, asking someone else to take good care of her. It was the first and only gift she ever has from her mom, and I broke it. The present rushed back in like cold water. My vision blurred, my hands trembling as regret settled deep in my chest. "I'm sorry," my voice stammered. She knew I hadn't meant it, but the words still landed too late. Something inside me snapped. I stood up before I could think, the hurt spilling over in a sharp, instinctive reaction. There was a sudden shout, chaos exploding around us, desks scraping, voices overlapping. Someone screamed for a teacher. Someone else cried out my name. But all I could feel was the ache in my chest and the weight of the past pressing down on me. And somewhere in that chaos, I realized something terrifying and undeniable. This girl, the one standing in front of me now, she had already stepped into a place in my heart I didn't know how to protect. I heard the whispers before I saw her expression change. They always talked like that, low voices, sharp words meant to cut without being heard. I pretended not to notice, but the sound still crawled under my skin. When I looked up, Aerin was already standing there, her red hair like a flame against the dull classroom, her eyes burning with something I couldn't read. I should have stayed quiet. I should have stepped back. But my body moved before my thoughts could catch up. I knew I had crossed a line the moment her hands clenched. The air around her felt heavy, like a storm about to break. When she spoke, her voice wasn't loud, but it was full of hurt, raw and unguarded. I realized then that she wasn't angry because of me. She was angry because the whole world seemed to keep pushing her down, and I had simply been too close when it happened. Then she mentioned the pen. My chest tightened. I remembered it clearly, the way it had fallen, the sound it made when it broke. At the time, I thought it was just an accident, something I could easily fix. I even told her I would buy another one. I thought that would be enough. It wasn't. That pen wasn't just an object. It was a memory, a promise. Proof that someone once loved her enough to leave something behind. When she looked at me and asked how I could possibly replace that, I finally understood what I had taken so lightly. Her hands grabbed my uniform, pulling me closer. I froze. I wasn't scared, not really, but my heart raced so hard it felt like it might give me away. Her face was so close I could see the anger trembling in her eyes and the pain beneath it. I wanted to apologize properly. I wanted to explain. But all that came out was silence. In that silence, something strange happened. Her grip loosened. Her breathing changed. The anger in her eyes flickered, just for a second, and what replaced it felt far more dangerous to my heart. She looked confused. Vulnerable. Nobody had ever looked at me that way before. I realized then that I wasn't just standing in front of an angry classmate. I was standing in front of someone who had been hurt too many times, and somehow, without meaning to, I had become someone she cared enough about to feel this deeply. And as terrifying as that moment was, I didn't want to step away. I could almost feel the warmth of that past, the way her mother's smile must have felt when she handed her that pen, asking her to treasure it. And I broke it. The realization hit me hard, guilt tightening my chest. Before I could fully apologize, everything escalated. Her anger, her pain, all crashing into me at once. I barely had time to react before the door slammed open and our homeroom teacher stepped in, her voice sharp and commanding, cutting through the tension. Inside the teacher's room, My heart wouldn't stop racing. I raised my hands quickly, forcing a smile that didn't match how shaken I felt, and took the blame without hesitation. It was my fault. I was careless. I didn't want Aerin to get into more trouble because of me. The teacher's gaze shifted between us, thoughtful, then firm. When she ordered me to apologize properly, with a hug, I nearly stopped breathing. 10 minutes later, my palms were sweating as I stood close to Aerin, closer than I ever had before. My arm wrapped around her instinctively, awkward and uncertain, yet warm. Her body stiffened, but she didn't pull away. She smelled clean and warm, and the world narrowed to that moment. I whispered my apology. I promised I wouldn't upset her again. As I held her, I realized something simple and terrifying all at once. Even in anger, even in silence, being this close to her felt different, like the start of something I didn't yet understand, but didn't want to lose. She went still in my arms. Then softly I said, I understood. More than anyone, I understood how it felt to be abandoned. My parents had left me when I was only days old. Hearing that made her chest ache. Suddenly, my clumsy kindness didn't feel so stupid. I said I meant everything I told her in class, that I wanted to be friends. Friends. The word was gentle, but it stayed with me longer than anything else. We were punished anyway, standing with our hands raised until lunchtime. I complained under my breath, but when I glanced at her, she looked almost peaceful. I wondered if she felt it too, that strange shift, like something important had quietly begun. Back then, I didn't know what to call the feeling growing in my chest. I just knew that from that day on, young Aerin was no longer someone I watched from afar. She was someone I wanted to understand. When I finally apologized again in the hallway, she stopped me. She told me I had done nothing wrong, that she was the one who needed to say sorry. When she reached for my hand, my face burned. My heart skipped. I didn't pull away. Just as I thought the moment might drift into something softer, someone else appeared, tall, confident, holding my hand like it was the most natural thing in the world. She called herself Aerin's girlfriend. The word echoed in my head, loud and unbelievable. Girlfriend. Chapter 5. Across the cafeteria later, laughter echoed, light, teasing, but it carried an edge that made Aerin shrink into herself. She asked for the laughter to stop, her voice soft and embarrassed. Jihyun only smiled, apologizing easily, amused by how flustered she'd become. It was clear they shared history, years of knowing each other, of standing side by side when things weren't kind. I overheard the truth soon enough. They weren't really girlfriends. It was only something said to keep unwanted attention away. Still, when the younger girl admitted someone else had feelings for her, there was no jealousy in the response, only understanding. I'm fine with that, Jihyun said, her eyes gentle. She spoke like someone who had seen too much cruelty and decided to be warmth instead. Later, I watched her reach across the table, her hand steady as she brushed a tear from Aerin's cheek. Her promise was quiet but firm, that she would always be there, that no one would be allowed to hurt her. Just when the moment felt fragile and safe, it shattered. A sudden force broke through the calm, and everything changed in an instant. I was nearby when the sharp tapping broke the silence, paper striking hair, again and again. The sound alone made the room tense. Jihyun flinched before a voice called her name, stern and unforgiving. The teacher's disappointment filled the space. A blank assignment. A rumor about a so-called girlfriend. Every word felt heavier than the last. I saw Jihyun sitting still, shoulders tight, while the red-haired girl across the table watched, unable to look away. Their eyes met for a brief second, silver and red, calm and shaken. Nothing was said, yet everything was understood. The rules were recited like a verdict. No dating. No bullying. No skipping classes. Jihyun answered quietly, almost politely, as if she had memorized these rules long ago. When she smiled and blinked, it wasn't defiance, it was composure, the kind built from enduring too much. But teacher Yunhee's faces darkened. Irritation lingered, sharp and cold. The room felt smaller then, the air heavier. I noticed Erin's tense, her jaw set, worry written plainly across her face. When she finally spoke, it wasn't loud, but it was firm. Enough to cut through the tension. Enough to protect. The laboratory felt different after hours. Quiet, warm with amber light, almost secret. Everything was arranged, as if the room itself respected the work done there. Jihyun said she had finished all the assignments for tomorrow, her hands resting together, patient and proud. When she asked what to do next, the answer came easily. She should go home first, Teacher Yoonhee replied. But she didn't move. Instead, she leaned closer, her refusal gentle but firm. She wouldn't leave her teacher alone there. The closeness shifted the air. When she was told to step aside, she did, but only enough to reveal her resolve. Even when pushed away, there was no anger in her expression, only quiet determination. Glassware and colored liquids reflected the soft light as conversation drifted back to the lab itself. The teacher spoke of research, of excitement, of staying longer not out of duty, but passion. Jihyun listens with open admiration, her eyes shining as she praised her teacher's dedication. She promised to work hard too, so one day, she could be someone worth relying on. Teacher Yoonhee laughed softly at that, a sound light enough to ease the tension. Yet beneath it, I sensed something deeper, a connection growing in the spaces between words, in shared silence and lingering looks. A calm voice asked for a moment more, almost finished. The reply came instantly, bright and obedient, carrying a hint of warmth that went beyond simple respect. Chapter 6. In the quiet street, Aerin waits under streetlights. A message lingered. Her mother would be gone for a few days, so she should take care of herself. The words stayed with her as she stood alone, shadows stretching long around her. When I called her name, she was surprised, softened into a smile. Then confusion followed, quick and unguarded. She hadn't expected to see me there, especially not at this hour. Questions came easily, almost casually. Why stay so late? Why skip the usual routine? The answers didn't come right away. Instead, her gaze drifted past the trees and lights, toward two figures standing closer than they should have been. Names surfaced. Recognition struck. I didn't hear her thoughts, but I felt their weight. Why her again? The question pressed in, sharp and sudden. Why were they still together? So late, so close, like the world had quietly stepped aside for them. From a distance, it must have looked ordinary.
Just people talking.
Just familiar silhouettes against the night. But to her, it wasn't ordinary at all. It was a realization. Slow, unwelcome, and impossible to ignore. Aerin met Jihyun 4 years ago, back in secondary school. From the beginning, Jihyun stood between her and the world, shielding her from trouble, from people who meant harm. That quiet protection became constant, steady enough that others began to misunderstand. Many assumed they were girlfriends, not because of rumors, but because of how gently Jihyun treated her. Jihyun noticed the smallest things. Even the books she read. She would take the time to read them first, leaving notes in the margins wherever confusion might appear. To her, it felt natural to believe they shared the same feelings. It felt mutual.
Certain.
Until high school changed everything. That was when she saw Jihyun with someone else, the new homeroom teacher. Too close. Too familiar. A moment that didn't belong to her. The answer traced itself backward, into memory. A library. Shelves of books. A teacher pressed too close. Authority mixed with something else. Words meant to stop it. I'm your teacher. A name exchanged. A threat to report. And then a truth laid bare. They all know Jihyun likes women. The moment carries its own weight even in memory. A breath held too long. A closeness that felt fragile rather than bold, hesitant, almost unreal. It lingered only for a heartbeat before retreating, leaving behind more confusion than certainty. What followed was restraint. An understanding spoken aloud. A decision to slow down, to step back before crossing a line that couldn't be erased. She smiled as she said it, reminding herself and the other that time still mattered, that age and place could not be ignored. The response was silence. Not rejection, not agreement, just the quiet of someone who already knew. To her, it felt like waiting for an airplane at a train station. Standing in the wrong place, hoping for something that was never meant to arrive there. From the beginning, it had never been equal. The care she received was different from the care given to the one truly chosen.
She realized it then. Slowly.
Painfully. "You're so naive," she whispers to herself. Not said with cruelty, but with certainty, like a truth already decided. Even meeting first wasn't enough. Even staying longer didn't change how she was seen. They walked in the same direction, yet not together. One step ahead, one step behind. Distance measured not in space, but in feeling. She called out softly, "Uni." A pause followed. A glance over the shoulder. A question left unasked. Her hands tightened, fingers lacing together as if holding back something fragile. Words tried to form, I like, but they never made it past her lips. Silence answered instead. In the end, she smiled and dismissed it as nothing. She spoke lightly, confessing just enough to hide the truth. Liking someone a lot was safer than saying everything. Safer than admitting fear, that if she said it out loud, she might lose her completely. The decision was made for her. Going back to present, my name was called. A direction chosen. Aerin pulled forward without warning, leaving confusion to me, wide-eyed and unanswered. She turned away, the motion slow and heavy, as if every step asked her to look back, yet she didn't. Surprise breaking into disbelief that she waited for me? The question must have echoed louder than her footsteps as she ran to catch up. Up ahead, we walked side by side under the streetlights, our shadows long and close. I asked where we will go, half confused, half hopeful. No one answered right away. Curiosity lingered in the air. Jihyun wondered what's wrong with Aerin? And when did she start getting along with me? The questions came quietly, layered with something harder to admit. Teacher Yoonhee smiled then, calm, knowing, almost amused. It wasn't cruel, but it wasn't innocent either. Just a look that said she understood more than she let on. And when the words slipped out, sharp, careless, "You're stupid," she said. Then she walks ahead. Chapter 7. I was surprised to see Aerin waiting for me, standing quietly under the warm glow of the streetlights. When I asked if she had waited long, she didn't answer right away, and the silence between us felt heavier than words. I finally gathered my courage and told her the truth, that I had noticed her long before this moment, even when I never had the chance to approach her. My heart raced as I smiled and asked if we could at least be friends, trying to sound calm despite my nerves. I explained that even I said that I like her before, and she didn't feel the same way, being seen as her friend would be enough for now. As we walked, she moved ahead without looking back, and a quiet ache settled in my chest. I wondered where we were going, and why she always came home so late, my thoughts tumbling out in my usual clumsy way. Suddenly, she snapped at me to stop talking, and her words stung more than I expected. Fear rushed through me as her expression changed, and I felt myself freeze, unsure of what I had done wrong. When I whispered her name, her sharp gaze met mine, and in that intense moment, I realized how deeply she already affected my heart. My legs suddenly felt weak, and panic rushed through me before I could stop it. With my face burning, I admitted the truth in a shaky voice, saying that my period comes and asking if she has a pad. Erin's reaction was sharp and intense, and her frustration startled me, even as she tried to help. I stumbled over my words, embarrassed and scared, unsure of what to do or where to go. When she suggested going to her place, my heart skipped, relief and nerves mixing together. As we walked, I realized how close her home was, and how close she suddenly felt to me. I asked her, "Is it really okay going to her place?" She answered yes, as long her mom isn't there. Her house is on the top floor. I hesitated, worrying about being seen, but her firm reassurance made me pause and listen. Her confidence overwhelmed me, and my breath caught as I tried to keep up with her pace. Then I noticed the smallest detail in her expression, something gentle beneath her stern calm. When she handed me what I needed, my shock melted into gratitude, and in that quiet moment, My heart leaned toward hers more than ever. My face burned as I realized what I was holding, my heart thumping wildly at the thought that it belonged to Aerin. I panicked inside, that it includes her underwear. Half embarrassed and half touched, while she stood there pretending not to care, even though her ears were slightly red. She told me to take a bath and said she'd prepare some clothes, her voice firm but unexpectedly gentle. Her words caught me off guard, and my thoughts spiraled as I tried to process being alone in her space. While she waited outside, I sensed her restlessness, as if she didn't quite know where to put her emotions. A sudden sting made me yelp, and I froze when a small blur darted past me. I heard her voice through the door, calm but caring, asking me to wait just a little longer. When the door suddenly slammed open, my breath hitched at the sound of her calling my name. I stepped out, wrapped in borrowed warmth, my heart racing as our eyes met again. I told her that I just saw a cat in the bathroom and asked her where did it run to. She froze mid-step, dropping what she was holding. Something brushed my foot, and I flinched, startled by a sudden cry that echoed in the room. My heart jumped as I realized it was the cat, and panic rushed through me all at once. Before I could react, I lost my balance, and the next thing I knew, I was falling straight into her. We landed on the floor, tangled and frozen, our faces far too close for my racing heart to handle. I apologized quickly, checking if she was okay, my voice shaking with worry and embarrassment. She didn't answer right away, only stared at me, her gaze intense and unreadable. Her hand lifted to my face, gentle and curious, as if she was studying me more than listening. When she asked about my face, I fumbled through an explanation, suddenly very aware of how close we were. She brushed my cheek again and smiled, telling me I looked better just the way I was. My breath caught as the words sank in, and all I could think was how warm my chest felt hearing her say she liked me like this. Her quiet question lingered between us, and I felt my breath catch as I tried to understand what she meant. She brushed it off with a teasing tone, telling me not to get the wrong idea, yet her eyes said something softer. I reminded her of last year, how she pushed me away because of my looks, and the memory still stung. She admitted it calmly, saying it was never about that, only an excuse she used to protect herself. Then she said she already liked someone, and my heart dropped before I could stop it. Without looking at me, she asked me to leave, her voice steady but distant. As I stepped away, I saw a sadness in her expression that made it hard to breathe. Days passed, and the silence she left behind followed me everywhere. I've been absent in class for several days. Aerin sat at her desk, pretending to read. When the teacher asked her about me, she answered coolly, even though the question irritated her. She had nothing to do with me, she replied. When she met the teacher's gaze, it felt like she was quietly testing her patience. The teacher reminded her about her transfer, her words sharp, as if she wanted to provoke a reaction. Aerin stood up and excused herself, refusing to let her drag the past into the open. As she walked away, it feels heavy with unspoken thoughts. Silence fell, and for the first time, the teacher wondered who was truly unsettled by it. From above, the teacher watched Aerin and Jihyun standing together in the open space, their figures small but impossible to ignore. Her gaze lingered longer than it should have, chest tightening with a feeling she refused to name. No matter how much she tried to keep her distance, one question echoed quietly in her mind. Why did getting close to her feel so impossibly hard? Chapter 8. The street is washed in warm city lights. Teacher Yoonhee and her date walk side by side. Their smiles easy, almost rehearsed, as if this scene had happened many times before. They stopped near a sleek car, exchanged a casual goodbye, and waved. Nothing dramatic, yet something about it lingered longer than it should have. At Lee Yoonhee's apartment, the elevator door slid shut with a soft chime, cutting the moment away and leaving only silence behind. Her heels echoed down the hallway, each step measured and calm. At the end of the corridor, Jihyun was sitting on the floor, curled in on herself, small against the wide, empty space. She slowed, then stopped, the atmosphere shifting the instant she noticed the figure by the door. Her voice softened when she asked why Ji-hyun was sitting there, but her eyes briefly flicked with curiosity and something sharper. The question about him hung in the air, unanswered, heavy with things left unsaid. After a quiet pause, she chose not to press further, her expression smoothing into calm resolve. She unlocked the door and gestured inside, saying they would talk about it later. As soon as she enters, she flips on the lights. She moved into the kitchen naturally, asking about dinner as if this were an ordinary night, yet the question about him followed close behind, sharp and unavoidable. She paused, saying nothing, and in that silence, could feel the tension tighten between them. Ji-hyun had waited at the door for hours, excitement turning slowly into confusion and hurt. She spoke about her upcoming birthday, about her parents finally agreeing to meet, her voice trembling with hope that had nowhere to land. From the balcony, she had seen everything. The laughter, the closeness, the ease of a moment she didn't belong to. When she said he was only a blind date, her eyes wavered, as if the explanation didn't fully convince even herself. She added that she had been forced to go, a quiet justification layered over something deeper. The question that followed cut through the room. What about them? What about what had been growing silently all this time? And when she finally asked what about her and their future? Top of form, Ji-hyun's hand clenched at her side, trembling despite how still she tried to remain. Yoonhee smiled gently and spoke of looking forward to it, as if the answer were already decided. Tears gathered at the corner of Ji-hyun's eyes, her voice caught somewhere between hope and fear. Suddenly, the distance shattered, one firm push against the shelf, a sharp sound breaking the silence. For a moment, neither of them spoke, their expressions heavy with everything they had been holding back. Then Ji-hyun moved first, pressing her lips forward in a desperate, trembling confession she couldn't put into words. The kiss was brief but overwhelming, filled with years of doubt, longing, and unspoken promises. When they pulled apart, she cupped Ji-hyun's face and told her not to cry, her voice low and steady. She reminded her that this pain wasn't worth tears, that they had promised never to doubt each other's feelings. Ji-hyun whispered that she didn't doubt her, only him, and the jealousy surfaced at last. The reply came with a soft, confident, and teased smile. He did like her, after all. She knew she was pretty, but the way she said it made me realize the real answer lay somewhere else entirely. Silence stretched between them, heavy and unbroken, their eyes locking as if words would only make things worse. Without warning, Ji-hyun moved forward and lifted her into her arms, the sudden closeness stealing the breath from the room. Yoonhee's startled protest echoed faintly as they disappeared from view, surprise laced with something dangerously close to trust. Ji-hyun's voice followed, low and intense, not angry, not cruel, but charged with emotion, promising consequences not of harm, but of feelings finally demanding to be faced. Chapter 9. A scream tore through the darkness. My name is being called again and again. Sharp with fear, I could almost feel in my chest. Everything moved too fast, metal, light, and sound blurring into a single moment that refused to slow down. The impact came like a thunderclap, sudden and final, leaving only echoes behind. Somewhere in the chaos, a child cried, the sound thin and broken, cutting through the silence that followed. Until I wake up. My face next, pale, distant, as if I was slipping away from the present and into something far older. Later, I sat alone in a quiet room, holding my head, asking myself why these memories wouldn't fade. She believed such memories should have disappeared 16 years ago, buried with time and grief. Yet instead, they returned more vividly each day, like ghosts refusing to stay silent. In a framed photograph, a family smiled softly, an image of warmth that no longer existed. At the neurology department, the truth finally surfaced. For years after the loss of my sister and brother-in-law, my mind had begun clinging to the past. I started copying my parents' habits, even wearing glasses I didn't truly need, as if trying to keep them alive through myself. Standing there, my guardian asked the doctor, "What is supposed to do?" I heard the doctor's calm voice say it was my comfort zone, gentle advice meant to protect rather than fix. He suggested letting her be, trusting that one day I would feel ready to return to my true self. Time shifted, and suddenly the world felt brighter. I cheerfully called out to Aerin, eager to pair up. From the side, I noticed Aerin watching quietly, her expression unreadable, eyes sharp with thought. I sat beside Aerin on the cold gym floor, pretending not to notice how close her knee was to mine. I hadn't attended most PE classes, and admitting it out loud felt embarrassing, but asking her to practice with me felt worse, in a way that made my chest tighten. I leaned closer, eyes bright behind my glasses, talking fast about partners and grades. I wondered if she noticed how carefully I looked into her while waiting for her answer. She just sighed, her expression softened. She demonstrated the stretch, folding forward so effortlessly it made me doubt my own body. "Just 5 seconds," she said. I watched, half focused on the instructions, half aware of how calm she looked like that. I tried next. It wasn't graceful. She crouched beside me, explaining patiently, her voice low and encouraging. I nodded, even though my arms shook. When she pressed me forward to help, I panicked. My breath caught, not just from the stretch, but from her hands, careful, steady, and too close. I complained just to hide how flustered I felt. She laughed it off, firm but playful, and I realized she trusted me enough to tease me. That realization stayed with me longer than the ache in my legs. Suddenly, Aerin notices something out of the corner of her eye. Jihyun handing a research paper to Lee Yoonhee. Lee Yoonhee scans the paper. Her expression was not impressed at all. Jihyun waits eagerly, excited for teacher's response. Finally, she instructed her to do it over again, which happily accepted by Jihyun. Aerin, distracted by the scene, snaps back to reality when she hears me crying in pain. My body suddenly stiffened beneath my hands. The moment froze, and my heart dropped with it. My voice trembled as I whispered her name, asking if my leg was broken. She couldn't answer right away. She just stared and looks worried. At the infirmary, IT felt colder than the gym. Aerin sat nearby while the nurse examined Jihsoo, every word about injuries landing heavily to Aerin. They said Jihsoo may look fine for now, thanks to the medicine, but recovery wouldn't be easy. The nurse stepped out to get ice packs. She told Aerin to help her take off Jisoo's shirt once she gets back. She nodded anyway. As she sat closer, her lashes flutter, her breathing soft. And when her fingers gently tugged at the fabric of Jisoo's shirt, her heart raced. She stirred, froze, lifting her hand like she's been caught doing something wrong, even though all she wanted was to help. When Jisoo's shirt lifted enough to reveal the bruising, her breath caught. The marks spread across her back like a map of pain she hadn't seen coming. Aerin pointed it out to the nurse when she returned, her voice steady. Inside, guilt pressed heavy, mixed with a quiet fear.
Chapter 10.
A sharp knock broke the silence. The door opened, and teacher Yoonhee stepped inside. Aerin looked up and met her gaze. She didn't mean to stare, but worry has a way of sharpening her eyes. Teacher laughed lightly, asking her to stop looking at her that way. She started to explain herself, then paused, confusion flickering across her face as she noticed the tension in the room. Her eyes shifted to Jisoo's injuries. The mood changed instantly, her expression turning serious. She went quiet. The air grew heavy, and Aerin felt her shoulders tense, as if bracing for something important. She spoke calmly about damage, about how doing nothing could make things worse. Aerin listened in silence, staring ahead, her thoughts tangled between guilt and fear. Aerin is watching the teacher, while tend to the injuries. Then she stared out the window, saying nothing. The silence felt heavy. Then Jisoo's voice broke through the silence. She shivered and murmured that it was cold. Then she realized someone else was here. Confusion flickered across her face. Jisoo's POV. I asked why the teacher was here. Even through the pain, I still trying to understand everything around me. The teacher spoke gently, saying she had something important to tell us. I straightened in my seat, already sensing that whatever came next would change things. I realized Aerin was still here, still awake. I felt a strange mix of relief and worry wash over me. I looked at her, searching her face for pain, for fear, for anything I could fix. Instead, I found confusion and something softer. My eyes widened behind her glasses. I looked small sitting there, trying to hold myself together. My hand trembled against the bed. Aerin noticed it immediately. She stayed quiet. Then she spoke, barely louder than a breath. She told us that she didn't hate it. I froze, staring at her like I wasn't sure I heard right. I leaned forward, flustered, demanding to repeat herself. Even like this, hurt and confused, she was still unmistakably her. The teacher's voice cut in, announcing the decision. I will have 2 weeks off. Time to heal. Time apart from school. I protested immediately, insisting it wasn't serious. I watched her argue, stubborn as ever, and couldn't stop myself from smiling just a little. She said I should talk to my uncle about the decision. He is coming to pick me up later. I tried to stand, insisting I could walk on my own. The words came out stubborn, but my legs didn't agree. The moment I took a step, everything tilted. Teacher Lee caught me before I fell, calm and steady, as if she already knew this would happen. She told us not to worry about school for now. Then she said something that made my heart pause. Aerin's mom agreed to let Aerin tutor me at home. For a second, I couldn't hide my reaction. Home. Together. The idea hit me harder than the pain in my body. The chair scraped loudly as someone moved. The sound echoed, sharp enough to break my thoughts. The room emptied a little, leaving space and tension behind. I stayed seated, unsure where to look. Teacher Lee spoke again, her tone casual, almost teasing. She talked about young girls, about liking people who look confident and make them feel special like a princess. Her words landed too close to the truth. I felt heat rush to my face, my pulse betraying me. She wished me good luck with a knowing smile. In that moment, I realized something terrifying and strange. She knows. And as I glanced at her, hurt, flustered, still here, I wondered if maybe that wasn't such a bad thing after all. The thought lingered in my head, quiet but persistent. Will Aerin like it too? I didn't know why that mattered so much, but it did. The word princess echoed in Aerin's mind. It felt unfamiliar, almost embarrassing, yet it stirred something warm. At my place, when the door opened, I was leaning casually, smiling like I belonged here. My breath caught before I could stop it. I asked if she had trouble finding my place, my tone light, playful. I was teasing, but my eyes were steady, focused only on her. Then I said that I had been waiting for her. Chapter 11. Jihsoo welcomes her inside with an easy smile, saying the place is empty. Just the two of them. Aerin pauses, her eyes narrowing slightly. A framed photo catches her attention, a smiling couple holding a newborn. A family she never had. She remembered what Jihsoo told her about never receiving gifts from her parents, and they died in an accident when she was only 5 days old. Silence fills the space between them. One listens with gentle eyes. The other waits, exposed and unsure. Trying to shift the mood, Jihsoo offered a drink. The invitation is soft, almost careful. Instead, Aerin points to a book, suggesting they study. Her sigh betrays her nerves. Jihsoo explains her leg still hurts, and asks if they can stay in the bedroom. The request is practical but charged. She adds lightly that the bed is more comfortable. Standing beside the bed, Aerin hesitates. Her thoughts race, heart beating faster than her steps. Then she sees her, relaxed, smiling, looking impossibly charming. Warmth floods her face before she can stop it. She didn't know Jihsoo is already daydreaming about her. That she clings to her with sudden enthusiasm, joking that if Ms. Lee's advice works, they should hang out more. Her excitement is a little too sincere to be just playful. When studying is mentioned again, Aerin turns away, saying she's leaving since she doesn't want to study. Panic flashes across Jihsoo's face as she blurts out a promise to study, anything to make her stay.
Time passes slowly.
The ticking clock fills the room, stretching every second with quiet tension. Jihsoo finally focuses, bent over her notes, trying hard to keep her thoughts in order. Yet her mind keeps drifting. Across the room, Aerin watches in silence, her expression unreadable, eyes lingering longer than necessary. A name slips softly into the air. Kim Jihsoo, spoken with meaning she can't quite explain. Breaking the quiet, Aerin asks, gently but directly, why she likes her. The question closes the distance between them. Their faces draw nearer, breaths shallow, the moment fragile and honest. They stand face to face, neither stepping back. The space between them feels charged, warm, and impossibly small. Jihsoo's pencil pauses mid-word. She can't write a single answer, because the truth is suddenly right in front of her, and it's harder to put into words than she ever imagined. She answers softly that there is no specific reason. Her voice is calm, almost light, as if the truth is simple. With a gentle smile, she adds that it just happens to be her. Saying it out loud feels natural, not forced. Aerin listens, stunned. Her eyes widen slightly, caught off guard by how sincere it sounds. After a pause, she turns away a little and asks what she would do if those feelings were never returned. The distance between them disappears as they lean closer, foreheads almost touching. The question hangs heavy in the air. She freezes, clearly unprepared. Admitting she never thought that far makes her cheeks warm with embarrassment. Still, she leans in again, pleading quietly for her to believe her. Her feelings spill out unguarded and real. Aerin pulls back and says she doesn't believe it. Her voice shakes, doubt written across her face. She explains that no one in their right mind would like her after everything she's done. The words sound practiced, painful. Without hesitation, Jihsoo replies that it's only because people never tried to know her. She insists she still believes she's a good person. But Aerin whispers that she isn't good at all, but her eyes betray how badly she wants to be proven wrong. Jihsoo leans closer and says firmly that it's impossible. If she were truly bad, she wouldn't be there with her. She adds softly that staying beside her now is proof enough. Her presence isn't forced, it's a choice. The moment shatters when a voice of a man interrupts from behind, asking what the two of them are doing. The warmth between them freezes, replaced by sudden tension. Chapter 12. Kneeling on the floor, Jihsoo complains that her uncle is being cruel, her leg still hurts, yet he keeps pushing. His sharp reply makes it clear he asked someone else, not her, and reminds them they are not dating. The uncle's expression remains cold and unreadable, his doubt already formed. He accuses them outright, saying he saw it himself, and claims they were kissing. Jihsoo quickly denies it, saying they were only talking. He reminds her she's only 17 and scolds her for seeing someone at night. She pleads with him to believe her. He brings up what he heard from school, that she almost broke Jisoo's leg during PE. She admits it was her, not hiding from the truth. Looking closely at the red-haired girl, he asks if she is young Aerin. She answers simply that she is. Realization dawns on him. He says she's the one Jihsoo wrote her first love letter to. No wonder she seems familiar. He adds mockingly that Jihsoo even has her poster and a doll version in her room. She laughs it off, calling him a liar, while Aerin stares back, unimpressed and unconvinced. Frustration finally breaks through. She asks her uncle to stop spreading false stories about her. He leans back and challenges her, asking why he should stop if it's all false. Calm but determined, she places her phone on the table and tells him to take a look, ready to prove the truth at last. She leans in, asking what it is. Curiosity mixes with worry as they both stare at the phone. The screen plays a message about confessions, how there are always two possible outcomes. Silence falls, heavy and uneasy. Panic breaks through as Jihsoo reaches out, begging her not to watch. Fear rushes ahead of her words. The message repeats, calmly explaining the rule of the heart. Every confession leads somewhere, forward or away. Act 1. In the video, she confesses bravely, asking young Aerin for a chance. Her hands tremble, but her voice doesn't. The answer comes bright and unexpected, okay. Hope explodes across her face. She hugs Aerin tightly, already dreaming aloud about their first date, happiness spilling over. Act 2. The scene shifts. She turns, confused, asking what was just said. The reply is quiet and final. I don't like you. The words land harder than a shout. With tears in her eyes, she forces a gentle smile and says she hopes Aerin will find someone who loves her more. The video ends. The room is still. Only the truth remains, raw and unmistakable. She stares at the phone in silence, her expression blank, thoughts tangled and heavy. The phone vibrates softly against her pocket. The sudden buzz pulls her out of her daze. A message appears. Her mom is outside to pick her up. She says it aloud, already preparing to leave. The reply comes quickly. There's no need to walk her out. The words feel polite, distant. Inside the car, Aerin sits stiffly as her mother reminds her to have a safe drive. Through the window, Jihsoo catches a glimpse of her, hands pressed to the glass, watching quietly. Neither of them speaks. Outside, she waves and calls goodbye to Aerin, promising to see her tomorrow. Her smile is bright, almost too bright. As the car moves, her mother asks if that was a new friend. The question sounds harmless, curious. Aerin hesitates, starting to answer, but her mother cuts in, saying the girl looks fine, better than Jihyun. Her mother adds that she should stop hanging out with her. The judgment is quick and final. Aerin turns toward the window, saying nothing. The city lights blur past as she sinks into silence, her heart heavier than before. Chapter 13. The morning is quiet as the date and time settle in, September 9th, just before sunrise. The school hallway feels unusually still. Aerin thinks to herself that it's Jihyun's birthday today. Like every year, she expects her to arrive early. A soft smile forms as she murmurs "Uni," the word carrying familiarity and warmth. Inside the classroom, she spots her seated alone. Sunlight spills across empty desks, framing the moment. Jihyun rests with her eyes closed, one hand pressed lightly to her side, looking fragile and peaceful. Their eyes meet by accident. Her heart stumbles, beating too fast, too loud, as she looks away. Without a word, she quietly leaves her seat, her steps careful and restrained. They sit side by side again, the space between them familiar, almost comforting. She reflects that they were seatmates for 4 years, sharing countless silent moments like this. That changed only when her mother decided to transfer her to another class, quietly pulling them apart. The question echoes in Aerin's mind. Why do you like me? Memories overlap, soft and unsettling with her and Jihsoo. A heavier thought follows, quieter but sharper. What if she never likes me back, too? She calls out softly, "Uni," the words slipping from her lips before she can stop herself. The classroom is still. They face each other in silence, the air filled with things neither knows how to say. Her hand lifts hesitantly, hovering near the curtain, fingers trembling with indecision. Jihyun rests with her eyes closed, peaceful and unaware, her presence pulling her closer without effort. She leans in slowly, heart racing, closing the distance inch by inch. Their faces draw near, breath shallow, the moment fragile and irreversible. While outside the room, the teacher's heels echo softly down the empty hallway. She realizes she's a little late and smiles to herself, while thinking Jihyun inside must be complaining again. In her mind, she imagines the familiar scene, tears, dramatic sighs, and a loud call for the teacher's attention. The thought amuses her. She reaches the classroom door and pauses. It's slightly open. That's unusual. A flicker of unease crosses her eyes as she looks inside, sensing something is off. Her breath catches. The room feels too quiet, too still. Then she sees them. 2 figures far too close, sharing a moment that shouldn't exist. The sight freezes her in place. Shock ripples through her chest, disbelief giving way to a sharp, silent sting. Her expression hardens as the truth settles in. Whatever she thought she understood changes in an instant. She stands there without a word, eyes steady but wounded, the image burned into her memory. Their lips meet in a brief, breathless kiss, soft, unsure, and filled with feelings they can no longer deny. From the doorway, she just watches. Shock sharpens her gaze as the moment burns into her eyes. She stands frozen in the hallway, hand resting against the door, heart pounding with disbelief. The scene cuts away, leaving the question hanging in the air. What will happen next? Possible outcome 1. She storms in, pulling them apart, shouting for them to let go. Possessiveness and fear collide all at once. Possible outcome 2. Authority interrupts instead, a loud reminder that dating is forbidden at school, cutting the moment short. Whatever comes next, one thing is clear. After this, nothing between them will ever be simple again. Chapter 14. Their lips are still pressed together, soft, uncertain, until a fragile pause settles between them. Aerin's eye opens slightly, confusion flickering as if she's waking from a dream. Suddenly, BAM. Their heads bump, awkwardly, breaking the moment.
Ouch.
The word escapes as reality rushes back in. Jihyun clutches her head, startled. She blurts out Aerin's name, asking why she was hit. Aerin answers calmly, almost teasing. She called her many times, but Jihyun was still sleeping. Then, softer, she asks why Jihyun is even here so early. A gentle smile curves Aerin's lips. Of course she's here. Today is Jihyun's birthday. She explains she came early just to celebrate with her, like it's the most natural thing in the world. Aerin places a small bag on the desk, nudging it closer. She remembers Jihyun saying she liked it. Curious, Jihyun opens it. Recognition lights her face. It's the music box she once mentioned. She hesitates, saying it must be expensive. Aerin replies simply that it's worth the price. Jihyun mentions a melody her teacher used to listen to for sleep, something she once wanted but couldn't afford. Aerin falls quiet, listening. Her expression softens, then tightens with a thought she can't ignore. She wonders what any of this has to do with her, with that girl from before. Understanding dawns slowly. A quiet awe slips from her lips as the weight of her feelings settles in. Jihyun smiles gently, her voice light as she says there's something she wants to tell Aerin today. The words land like a sudden chill. She explains that she and Miss Lee have been dating for a while now. Aerin's eyes widen, the color draining from her face, as Jihyun adds that her parents are meeting Miss Lee tonight. Jihyun keeps talking, almost shy, saying it would have been wonderful if Aerin's mom had allowed her to come to the party too. Aerin tries to speak, her voice breaking mid-thought, asking if Jihyun thinks they'll like her. But the question dies before it's finished. Instead, Aerin forces a small excuse, saying she just remembered she has something to do. Jihyun looks up, confused, calling Aerin's name as she suddenly stands. Aerin turns away without another word, walking toward the door, her hair swaying as she leaves the room. From the hallway, Jihyun calls after her again, but the door only echoes softly. A teacher watches from a distance, her expression unreadable, eyes following Aerin's retreating figure. Outside the hotel. This morning, after Aerin left, Teacher Lee let out a slow sigh, staring ahead as the weight finally settled in. As expected, Jihyun remained unaware of everything. She was still looking forward to the birthday present I prepared for her. I replay our conversation in my head, her smile so open, her hands reaching out without hesitation. If her parents, the thought trails off before she can finish it. A voice turns slightly and speaks up, calm but careful. Teacher. Her eyes widen, a single bead of sweat sliding down as something clicks into place. Footsteps approach. A familiar figure comes into view, calm and confident, as if nothing is wrong. Jihyun. The name leaves her lips in disbelief before she can stop herself. Jihyun smiles and speaks easily, telling her to come along. Her parents are already waiting. Bonus, for years later. Time skips forward. Arms wrap around Aerin from behind, warm and possessive. A quiet question follows. If she kissed her? The answer comes just as softly, no. There's a low laugh, playful jealousy slipping into her voice. She says she should be the only one kissed. Teased in return, she's reminded gently that she was the one who took all her firsts. Chapter 15. Back to present. Jihyun stood there, smiling softly, as if calling her had always felt natural. Without warning, Ji-hyun pulled her into a warm hug, cheerful and unguarded. She laughed brightly, announcing that her parents were waiting, while the teacher stood stiff in surprise, her thoughts scrambling to catch up. Hand in hand, Ji-hyun burst into the room with excitement. She proudly declared that she had finally brought her girlfriend home, revealing, with innocent boldness, that the woman beside her was also her teacher. The words landed heavily, and silence filled the space. Ji-hyun's parents observed everything closely. One hid behind a calm smile, the other behind thoughtful silence. The teacher felt her chest tighten, forcing a polite smile as unease crept in. Sensing the tension, Ji-hyun gently defended her, asking her parents not to scare her away. The mood slowly softened when they revealed they already knew her from school meetings and were simply teasing. When asked her age, she answered honestly, her voice steady despite her nerves. The parents exchanged a glance, then spoke with surprising warmth. Ji-hyun was old enough to choose for herself, they said, and they had no objections to the two of them dating. Relief washed over her, quiet and overwhelming. From the side, Ji-hyun watched her with open admiration, her affection impossible to hide. In that moment, amid lingering nerves and gentle smiles, their bond felt seen, accepted, and just a little stronger than before. Top of form. The room grew quiet after they returned home. Ji-hyun sat close to her, watching her with gentle curiosity while the older woman lowered her head, cheeks faintly flushed. Later, as fruit was set aside, a worry slipped out. She admitted that many younger girls admired Ji-hyun at school, and the thought unsettled her more than she wanted to admit. A soft fear followed. One day, Ji-hyun might grow tired of her. The words lingered. Ji-hyun sensed a change immediately and asked why she would say such a thing. When there was no answer, she moved closer, wrapping an arm around her waist, grounding her with warmth. She denied the fear without hesitation. It wasn't looks that mattered, she said gently, nor age. What she felt ran deeper than that. Then, with a quiet certainty, Ji-hyun leaned in and whispered her promise. They would grow older together. The tension eased. In that small, intimate moment, reassurance replaced doubt, and their connection settled into something calm, steady, and undeniably mutual. Her voice was barely above a whisper when she asked if the teacher truly understood how much she liked her. The closeness between them left no room for doubt, only a quiet intensity that made the air feel heavy. The teacher hesitated, reminding her that her parents were still nearby. Ji-hyun answered with calm confidence, brushing the worry aside, telling her that they won't hear them because their hotel is soundproof. At Aerin's place, her name echoed in the room, breaking the fragile calm. The sound alone was enough to make her hand tremble. The pencil snapped in two, a sharp crack that revealed how tightly Aerin had been holding everything in. Jihsoo sat frozen beside her friend, eyes lowered, whispering that the girl she admired was strong, strong enough to leave her behind. The thought hurt more than she expected. A quiet question followed, cutting through the silence. The truth surfaced at last. The name she had been trying to hide slipped out, carried by unfinished thoughts and careless murmurs. Realization dawned slowly. It had always been Ji-hyun. When confronted, she could only stare back, caught between surprise and guilt. There was no anger in the air, only a soft ache and an unspoken understanding.
Nothing else needed to be said.
The feelings were finally visible, fragile and honest, lingering between them as the moment settled into silence. Bottom of form. Jihsoo finally asked if it is Kwang Ji-hyun who she like. The truth came out without warning. When Aerin asked who had told her, her answer was simple. She had said the name herself, murmuring it over and over, along with the quiet confession that the birthday would be spent with someone else, not her. The next question was hesitant but heavy. Was she being betrayed? The reply came after a pause, soft and uncertain. They were not girlfriends. Silence followed, stretching between them. Then she spoke again, her voice steady despite the ache beneath it. If there was no one tying her down, then she would take the chance. Jihsoo asked her to have a date with her. She asked her out plainly, offering herself without games or pressure. She promised only one thing, to help her forget about Jihyun. Across the table, their eyes met. In that moment, doubt gave way to a fragile possibility, and the space between them filled with quiet, undeniable tension. Chapter 16. Aerin pushed Jisoo's wheelchair as Jisoo yelled with excitement. Aerin frowned and told her to lower her voice and not cause embarrassment. Jisoo turned her head to look at Aerin and said she was just excited about their date. Her smile slowly faded when she remembered that Aerin only agreed to come because of Jihyun. Aerin continued pushing the wheelchair in silence while Jisoo secretly admired her. They stopped in front of a river. Jisoo suddenly shouted that this was the cursed river, then froze. Aerin was a bit annoyed. Aerin stood beside Jisoo's wheelchair as they both looked at the water. Jisoo asked Aerin if could just hold on. Aerin helped Jisoo onto a nearby bench. After a moment, Jisoo quietly asked how long Aerin had liked Jihyun. Aerin answered coldly that it was none of her business. Jisoo said she thought Aerin wanted to move on. Aerin hesitated, then admitted it had been 2 years. Jisoo asked if she had ever confessed. Aerin looked away and said there was no point. Jihyun didn't like her. Silence fell between them. Then Jisoo spoke again, saying that Aerin only gave up because it wasn't mutual, and reminded her that Jisoo liked her. Suddenly, Jisoo grabbed Aerin's wrist and pulled her down onto her lap. Aerin froze, shocked and confused. Jisoo asked softly if she was uncomfortable being held like that. Aerin raised an eyebrow and asked if Jisoo wanted to push her away. Jisoo didn't answer. They only stared at each other. Jisoo tightened her arms around Aerin's waist and told her to give love a chance, that next time she fell in love, she should show it. Aerin said it might ruin their friendship. Jisoo replied that she didn't know how many steps it took to go from friends to lovers, and that anyone who rejected Aerin didn't know how precious she was. Aerin looked at Jisoo, deeply touched. Their faces were only inches apart. Jisoo teased her, saying she looked moved. Aerin got flustered, pushed Jisoo's hands away, and stood up. Jisoo asked where she was going. Aerin answered coldly that she was going to the bathroom. Jisoo watched her walk away and told her she would wait. Meanwhile, as Aerin walked alone, she placed a hand on her chest. She felt her heart was racing. Chapter 17. Jisoo smiled to herself, thinking that Aerin was slowly opening up to her. She also realized that Aerin was only yearning for a mother's love. Resting on Jisoo's lap was a small card. She thought that if she didn't mess things up with Aerin, maybe things between them would slowly get better. Jisoo hesitated, wondering if Aerin would accept the card. Before she could finish her thoughts, the card suddenly slipped from her hand and was carried away by the wind. Jisoo gasped and tried to grab it, leaning forward too far from her. She rolled her wheelchair after the paper, trying to chase it. Then she stopped. Her expression fell. Suddenly, her wheelchair slipped near the stairs. Jisoo froze, unable to move. The wheelchair tipped forward, and Jisoo was thrown into the river. She hit the water hard. Jisoo tried to call for help, but no sound came out. She struggled to swim because her injured legs wouldn't move. Meanwhile, in the bathroom, Aerin stood in front of the sink, lost in deep thought, thinking of Jihyun, who she likes. Aerin was wondering why her heart still felt disturbed. Shaking her head, she decided to go back. When Aerin returned, she looked around and froze, thinking where would Jisoo go. Then she heard someone shouting. Aerin looked toward the sound. She stood there, stunned, her breath caught in her throat when she saw a blonde woman kneeling by the river, trying to perform CPR on Jisoo. The girl desperately continues to perform a CPR on Jisoo. The woman continued pressing on Jisoo's chest again and again, panic clear on her face. Then, suddenly, Jisoo coughed. Water spilled from her mouth as she turned to the side, gasping for air. The blonde woman let out a shaky breath, relief washing over her. She whispered a quiet thanks, grateful that Jisoo was alive. The woman looked down at Jisoo, checking her. Slowly, she turned her head when she heard Aerin's voice asking what had happened. The moment Aerin saw the blonde woman's face, she froze. Sweat dripped down the woman's forehead, still catching her breath. But Aerin couldn't move. The world around her seemed to darken. Her heart pounded violently as one thought echoed in her mind on how is that possible. Aerin ran toward them just as the blonde woman turned away. A man suddenly rushed over and called out, "Dr. Kong, that is her flight is going to take off." Aerin stopped in her tracks. Her eyes widened when she heard the last name. Dr. Kong started walking upstairs, while Aerin stood there staring. Then she shook her head, forcing herself to calm down. "It's just a familiar face," she told herself. Jihsoo weakly called Aerin's name. Aerin quickly turned and rushed to her side. She knelt beside Jihsoo and asked how she had fallen. Jihsoo answered softly that her wheels had slipped. From above the stairs, Dr. Kong looked back at them one last time. She turned away to her assistant and quietly told him to take the girls to the nearest hospital. Chapter 18. At the hospital, Jihsoo J1 looked around the hospital room nervously, her eyes wide. She whispered that the hospital looked very expensive. Aerin calmly told her that the woman who saved her had already paid all the bills. Jihsoo stuttered, shocked and deeply grateful at the same time. For a moment, she thought it had been Aerin who saved her. Aerin coldly said that she didn't know how to do CPR. Jihsoo looked down sadly and quietly asked if Aerin would have saved her if she did know. Aerin froze, confused by the question. Jihsoo hugged a pillow against her face and spoke shyly, saying that she somehow thought she and Aerin had kissed when she was unconscious. Aerin slowly turned her head to look at Jihsoo. Without a word, Aerin threw the pillow and blanket onto the chair. Then she walked toward the bed and climbed onto it. Aerin positioned herself between Jihsoo's thighs, their faces only inches apart. Jihsoo's heart raced. She clenched her fists on the bed and nervously asked what Aerin was doing. Aerin leaned closer, teasing, and softly asked why Jihsoo wanted to kiss her. Jihsoo blushed deeply, sweat sliding down her cheek, and answered that Aerin already knew the reason. Aerin's expression suddenly turned serious. She told Jihsoo that she was very straightforward and dared her to try it. Jihsoo slowly closed her eyes and leaned in to kiss her. But Aerin hesitated. As Jihsoo moved closer, Aerin slowly leaned back, fear flashing in her eyes. Jihsoo pouting and blushing as she tried to kiss Aerin. Suddenly, Aerin gently pushed Jihsoo's face away and said sharply that she didn't like her. She climbed off the bed and turned away. Jihsoo asked where she was going. Aerin replied coldly that she would rather watch TV because Jihsoo was boring. She froze when she heard Jihsoo apologize behind her. Jihsoo spoke softly, her voice shaking, saying that she liked Aerin very much and didn't know how to get closer to her. Aerin remained silent. Slowly, she looked down, smiling and let out a quiet sigh. Chapter 19. Inside Jihsoo's room at the hospital. The TV was playing loudly. Aerin sat on a chair, watching it, while Jihsoo sits on the bed, quietly staring at her. Without looking away, Aerin coldly told her to do something instead of staring. Jihsoo smiled happily and said that everything felt unreal, that she had gone on a date and even had Aerin accompany her to the hospital. Aerin went silent for a moment, then told Jihsoo not to misunderstand her. She said her conscience was just telling her to make it up to Jihsoo for almost breaking her knee. Jihsoo's voice grew sad as she replied that at least Aerin felt guilty and that she could have simply left her and gone home. Aerin suddenly asked if she was really that bad in everyone's eyes. Jihsoo was confused for a moment, then smiled and answered that Aerin was not. And even if she was, Jihsoo said she wouldn't mind. Aerin looked at her and said this wasn't a TV drama, telling her to stop saying silly things just to make her feel touched. Jihsoo's eyes widened nervously, and she couldn't speak. Outside Jihsoo's room, a doctor stood in the hallway, reading Jihsoo's medical chart. She noted that Jihsoo was Dr. Kang's special patient. The doctor said that Jihsoo's test results were all perfect except for her knee joint, which made it difficult for her to walk. She added that Jihsoo could already be discharged. The man who had brought them to the hospital casually agreed. The doctor then mentioned that Dr. Kong had seen the girl drowning while taking a walk near the bridge by the airport. The man replied that Dr. Kong only wanted some fresh air and almost missed her flight to London. They both glanced toward Jihsoo's room. The man sighed and said that Dr. Kong had always loved helping others. The doctor remained silent, unimpressed. At Jihsoo's building, night, the day she's discharged. Jihsoo thanked Aerin for everything she had done that day. Then she quietly revealed that it was her birthday. Aerin was a bit surprised and asked why she hadn't told her. Jihsoo smiled and said there was no need. Aerin's presence was already enough. She happily said that she had never been this happy before and thanked Aerin again. But Erin's face showed no emotion. She remained silent. Then, suddenly, she softly said, "Happy birthday." Jihsoo froze, shocked, not knowing how to respond. After a moment, Jihsoo told Aerin she should go first and wished her good night. Aerin turned away immediately. Jihsoo watched her leave, thinking that Aerin was really just straight away, just as she said. She called out her goodbye, but Aerin didn't turn back. She didn't answer. Jihsoo quietly asks herself whether they are still friends. Chapter 20. At school. A teacher greeted the class good morning and announced some news. He said that their homeroom teacher had taken a 1-month leave because of a family matter and that he would be their temporary teacher. The students immediately began whispering. One student said that women her age usually took leave because they were about to get married. Another laughed and said she was clumsy for saying that, as if Ms. Lee was getting married next week. Jihyun sat by the window, quietly staring outside, lost in thought. In the school field, Jihyun sat with Aerin and talked about how Yoonhee's father had arranged a blind date for her. She explained that the sudden break between them had nothing to do with it. Aerin asked why Yoonhee would go on a date with someone else if they were in a relationship. Jihyun tried to explain that it wasn't really a date and that Yoonhee's father was as strict as Erin's mother, so she couldn't refuse. Aerin replied that she was still too young to interfere in those matters and admitted that she had felt helpless back then. Jihyun looked down and said she wanted to graduate quickly so she could finally stand beside Yoonhee as an equal. Aerin went silent, feeling a little hurt. Then she said that if she were Yoonhee, she would never date Jihyun. Jihyun looked at her, confused. Erin's eyes filled with worry as she continued, saying that Jihyun already knew the truth, that their age gap was too big, and that no one would place their future in the hands of a kid 10 years younger. Jihyun lowered her head, unable to speak. Aerin sighed and said that Jihyun was starting to look uncertain. Before she could finish, Jihyun interrupted, saying that she didn't doubt Yoonhee. She looked up at the sky and told Aerin that she knew Yoonhee was hiding something, but that she was doing it for the sake of their relationship. Jihyun's eyes remained fixed on the sky, her thoughts spinning. She added that maybe she was waiting for Yoonhee to tell her the truth, or maybe Yoonhee would never say it. Aerin stared at her, confused, then gently asked if Jihyun had ever thought that maybe Yoonhee didn't love her in that way. Jihyun froze. The words hit her hard. She clenched her hands on her pants, unable to speak. Slowly, she looked down, her chest tightening, thinking if it wasn't love, then what was it? Jihyun's bedroom at night. Jihyun texted Yoonhee that she had just gotten home and asked what she was doing. Yoonhee replied that she was just visiting a neighbor. Jihyun asked if she was bothering her. Yoonhee answered that she wasn't and said she was outside getting some fresh air. Jihyun asked if her parents were putting pressure on her. Yoonhee replied that her dad had only asked if she had a boyfriend. Jihyun asked if they could video call. Yoonhee said it wasn't a good time and asked what was wrong, wondering why Jihyun suddenly wanted to call. Jihyun replied that nothing was wrong. Yoonhee answered, saying she understood, which left Jihyun confused. Then Yoonhee sent another message saying she got it. Jihyun must miss her. A moment later, she sent a photo. It showed Yoonhee standing on a beach, smiling, with a message saying how peaceful it was there. Jihyun stared at the picture, stunned. Her eyes slowly filled with suspicion. She had seen that exact photo before, on Yoonhee's laptop. Jihyun fell into deep thought, her heart sinking as one question echoed in her mind. Why is Yoonhee lying to her? Chapter 21. Jihsoo sneezed loudly, pressing a tissue to her nose. Aerin quickly raised her hand to block her face. Jihsoo apologized, admitting that her fever had worsened after staying in the water for too long. She added that they could stop if Aerin wanted to. Aerin looked at her with worry and said Jisoo's physical condition was already bad. Jihsoo brushed it off, saying it was because she didn't exercise much. She laughed weakly and added that it was a good thing their lessons were already over. Otherwise, she might have fainted while trying to warm herself up. On the table beside Jihsoo sat her medicine and a glass of water. Aerin noticed them and told her to take her meds, pointing out that they hadn't been touched since she arrived. Jihsoo paused, then realized it herself and nodded. She picked up one pill, frowning slightly. She thought the medicine was awful and didn't want to take it, but she also didn't want Aerin to think she was a loser. Holding up the glass, she drank it down. Aerin watched her with a confused expression. Afterward, Jihsoo asked what Aerin had wanted to say earlier. Aerin repeated herself, saying she hated Jihyun's girlfriend. Jihsoo looked at her, confused. Aerin continued, saying she didn't even want to remember that Yoonhee was almost 15 years older than Jihyun. She complained that Yoonhee was old and unattractive, with short brown hair, small eyes, and thick lips, saying she looked like a duck. Jihsoo blinked, trying to imagine what she meant by that. Aerin then said none of that mattered anymore. What really bothered her was Yoonhee's condescending attitude. She admitted she still couldn't bring herself to even look at Yoonhee, even if she weren't Jihyun's girlfriend. Her voice rose as she yelled that Yoonhee was getting on her nerves. She muttered that Yoonhee was taking advantage of Jihyun's kindness. Jihsoo stared at her, shocked by the sudden rant. After a moment, she laughed. Aerin turned to her coldly and asked what she was laughing at. Jihsoo apologized and said she had just realized that Aerin was cute when she was angry, like a kid whose candy had been taken away. Aerin froze, staring at her. Jihsoo slowly lifted her hand and placed it on Erin's head, rubbing her hair gently. Their faces were only inches apart. They stayed like that for a long moment, Jihsoo continuing to stroke her hair. Jihsoo felt her face heat up when she realized Aerin wasn't pushing her away. Quietly, she asked if it was okay for her to comfort her like that.
Aerin was startled by the question.
She stayed silent for a moment before saying that Jihsoo looked like her mom when she smiled. Jihsoo stiffened. The word mom hit her hard. She looked away, her expression breaking, thinking that Aerin didn't understand what romance was. Aerin watched her, disappointment settling in her eyes. Chapter 22. At Student Council Room. Jihyun finished washing her hands and slowly turned off the faucet. She lifted her head and stared at her reflection in the mirror, completely lost in thought. It had been 4 days since her last message with Yoonhee. Jihyun remembered how Yoonhee always found a reason to refuse her video calls. Her chest tightened as she asked herself what Yoonhee was trying to hide. A flashback crossed her mind. The photo Yoonhee had sent her. Jihyun whispered to herself that she was just waiting for Yoonhee to tell her everything. But another thought followed. If she talked to Yoonhee now, everything between them might become awkward. She realized that Yoonhee always became sensitive whenever she mentioned her past relationships or family matters. Jihyun let out a deep sigh. She told herself quietly that she should have known from the start. Suddenly, a voice called her from behind. Jihyun flinched. It was the student council president, curiously asking if she had already approved this week's article about their teacher, Ms. Lee. He added that it seemed the whole school now knew about Ms. Lee's relationship status. Jihyun slowly turned around. Her eyes widened in shock, furiously. A crowd of students gathered in front of the notice board, whispering excitedly as they read the article. They couldn't believe what they were seeing. As Jihyun walked toward the crowd, her heart pounded. She thought to herself that if the rumor was true, she would be deeply disappointed. As she passed by, some students whispered behind her back. They said she was Ms. Lee's favorite student and that Jihyun looked just as disappointed as them. Jihyun suddenly froze. Her breath caught in her throat. On the notice board was an article showing Yoonhee with a student. The article claimed that Yoonhee had been in a secret relationship for some time now and that she had recently been seen leaving a hotel with a young student. Jihyun couldn't move. Her mind went blank. Thinking what was Yoonhee doing in a hotel with a student? Another student whispered that in 3 more days, if they still stayed silent, the writer would expose everything about them. Something inside Jihyun snapped. Her vision darkened as anger rushed through her. Suddenly, she tore the article off the notice board. The students gasped. They had never seen Jihyun react like this before. Her hands trembled as she crumpled the paper tightly. She thought bitterly how ridiculous it was to publish such a crazy article without permission. Her eyes burned with fury, telling herself whoever wrote that must be better prepared. At classroom 2C, Jihsoo entered the classroom while holding a sheet of paper. The room was filled with students talking loudly about the spreading rumor. Aerin sat at her desk, holding the same article in her hand. She slowly read it again. Then, a small, satisfied smile appeared on her lips. Chapter 23. On the rooftop. Recess time. The wind brushed softly across the rooftop. Aerin asked Jihyun why she had called her there. Jihyun avoided her eyes and quietly asked if she had already seen the article. Aerin nodded and said she had, but it looked unreal. She added that if it was true, Jihyun should talk to Yoonhee about it. Jihyun looked down, her voice trembling as she admitted that she couldn't contact Yoonhee last night. Aerin's eyes widened in shock. She said it sounded strange and suspicious, but before she could finish, Jihyun suddenly looked up, anger flashing in her eyes. She revealed that the boy in the photo was actually her. Aerin froze. Jihyun explained that she had disguised herself so no one would discover their relationship. She went silent for a moment, then said that somehow, the person who wrote the article had gathered a lot of evidence against them. Aerin asked nervously how Jihyun had figured it out. Jihyun answered calmly that one thing had bothered her, the word Yoonhee written at the end of the article. She said she wasn't sure if it referred to her or to Yoonhee. Erin's face turned pale. Her hands began to tremble. She asked what Jihyun was trying to say. Suddenly, Aerin grabbed Jihyun's arms and forced her to turn and face her. Jihyun stayed silent. Erin's voice shook with anger as she asked if Jihyun was suspecting her. She clenched the fabric of her skirt tightly and demanded an answer. Before she could finish, Jihyun suddenly shouted. She told Aerin fiercely that she was not suspecting her. In one quick movement, Jihyun pinned Aerin against the wall. Both of Jihyun's hands pressed against the wall on either side of Aerin. Breathing hard, she told Aerin that she was her friend, her sister, and that she had never once doubted her in her entire life. She said she didn't care who was behind the mess. Aerin looked at her, eyes filled with sadness and worry. Jihyun grabbed Aerin's shoulders, her voice breaking as she shouted that if they didn't do something, everything would be exposed and Yoonhee would lose her job. She asked desperately if Aerin had told anyone else, or if someone had been playing with her lately. Her eyes softened, filled with fear and pity. She begged Aerin to tell her the truth. She said she needed confirmation from her first. Aerin stared at her quietly. Something dark passed through her eyes. She realized that in the end, she was still the first person Jihyun thought of. Slowly, Aerin let out a soft laugh. She gently removed Jihyun's hands from her shoulders and calmly asked, if it was her, what would she do? Jihyun stared at her, confused. Aerin smiled. She said that she had always wanted to separate Jihyun from Yoonhee. Her smile widened as she confessed that she liked Jihyun. Again, she asked softly what Jihyun was going to do. Jihyun froze. Shock filled her face as Aerin's confession finally sank in. Special chapter. At school. On their way to the library. Sunlight streamed in through as Jihsoo and Aerin walked side by side toward the library. Jihsoo glanced around and laughed softly. She said that nobody in their right mind would come to the school library on a holiday. Aerin replied that she should just think of it as a date. Jihsoo hesitated for a second, then nodded and agreed. They continued walking together, their shoulders almost brushing. Suddenly, a figure stepped in front of them. A boy stood there nervously, holding a small pink card in both hands. He bowed slightly and extended the card toward Aerin. With a shaky voice, he confessed that he had liked her for a long time. Erin's gaze immediately shifted to Jihsoo. Jihsoo leaned closer, surprised, and whispered that it had been a long time since someone had written Aerin a love letter. Jihsoo swallowed hard and asked Aerin what she thought. Jihsoo told her to answer quickly because he had gathered all his courage just to speak to her. Aerin hesitated. She looked down at the card, then back at the boy. After a moment, she said softly that everything was too sudden and that she needed time to think about it. Her eyes widened as she stared at Aerin, thinking that she must be teasing her. The boy smiled shyly and said that he would patiently wait for her answer. Jihsoo picked up her drink and took a long gulp. The boy was about to ask Aerin out, when suddenly, Jihsoo grabbed Aerin by the shoulder and pulled her close. Before anyone could react, Jihsoo leaned in and kissed Aerin on the lips. The boy froze, shocked and hurt. Aerin didn't move. She stayed completely still as Jisoo's lips pressed against hers. After a moment, Aerin turned to the boy and calmly said that Jihsoo was her girlfriend. Jihsoo pulled back and smiled brightly, nodding happily. The boy stood there in silence, heartbroken. Chapter 24. Jihyun was looking at Aerin, and the world seemed to darken as their eyes locked. Jihyun spoke up, asking Aerin what she had just said. Aerin nervously tried to explain herself. Jihyun forced a smile and told Aerin that she was just joking. Aerin looked down and answered that whether it was a joke or not, it didn't matter. Jihyun looked at her, slightly furious, and said that it didn't matter, because it was about her. Aerin replied that yesterday it was their teacher, and the next second it was her. Jihyun's eyes widened as Aerin told her that she had a lot of trust issues, and that she should know herself better than anyone else. Aerin continued, saying that if Jihyun's beloved teacher got fired, then she was partly to blame because Jihyun herself had dragged her into this mess while she was still a student. Aerin added that Jihyun doubted everyone around her, even though she was the one who had started everything on the wrong foot. Jihyun stood there, stunned, as everything slowly sank in. Aerin told Jihyun that she didn't know how Ms. Lee managed to deal with someone as distrustful as her. And as for herself, Jihyun should not talk to her until she came to her senses. She said this angrily. Aerin then turned away and walked off, leaving Jihyun standing alone. 3 days later, Jihsoo was walking down the hallway while tying her hair up. She wondered why Aerin hadn't come to her house for 3 days. She told herself that she could manage on her own now, but she was still unavailable to attend today's PE class. Strangely, Aerin had skipped class as well. Jihsoo began to wonder what had happened to her. As she walked past the changing room, she noticed that the door was slightly open. Confused, she peeked inside, hoping Aerin was there. Aerin looked at her in shock, tears streaming down her face. Jihsoo froze for a second, then immediately rushed toward her and asked what had happened. She kept asking why she was crying, her face full of worry. Aerin coldly told her that it was none of her business. Jihsoo fell silent for a moment. Then she gently held Aerin's cheek and softly said that maybe it wasn't her business. Aerin looked stunned and confused as her tears continued to fall. Jihsoo leaned closer and added that it hurt her whenever she saw Aerin cry. She carefully observed Aerin's face and said that her eyes were almost swollen. She asked if she was hurt anywhere. Aerin was about to respond, but Jihsoo leaned in closer, her face only inches away, about to kiss her. Chapter 25. She gently held Aerin's head and closed her eyes. Instead of kissing her, Jihsoo softly blew on Aerin's eyes. She was about to press a gentle kiss on Aerin's forehead, but Aerin suddenly asked what she was doing. Jihsoo began to explain that blowing gently could help relieve the pain in her swollen eyes, but Aerin cut her off before she could finish. "Go relieve yourself," Aerin said furiously, pushing Jihsoo away as she tried to explain. Aerin turned away as she told Jihsoo not to come near her. Jihsoo apologized. A few moments later, Jihsoo nervously glanced at Aerin. She was so anxious because Aerin hadn't said a single word for 20 minutes. Aerin simply sat there, looking down, lost in deep thought. 2 hours ago, someone had messaged Aerin, telling her to meet at the abandoned house near the school if she wanted to know who her homeroom teacher truly was. Curious and uneasy, Aerin went. As she approached the abandoned house, she heard voices inside. Inside the abandoned house, a woman dressed in black, wearing a cap low over her face, stood there with a creepy smile. She said it had been a long time and that she was glad. She was the first person Yoonhee saw after returning to the country. Yoonhee stood silently in front of her. Suddenly, Yoonhee raised her hand and slapped the woman hard. The force sent the cap flying off her head. The woman fell to the ground. Yoonhee's hand remained in the air, Her expression filled, she shouted at the woman, calling her a brat and reminding her that she had told her many times to stay out of her life. The woman tried to explain that she didn't know what Yoonhee was talking about. Yoonhee shouted again, asking how she dared to talk back. She leaned down, grabbed the woman by her shirt, her teeth clenched in anger. She said that the poorly written school article was enough evidence, and she had known from the start that it was her. The woman began smiling and giggling like she had lost her mind. She said she was glad Yoonhee still remembered her. Behind a steel beam, Aerin stood silently listening. Yoonhee coldly told the woman that she didn't care about her feelings. If she continued interfering with her work, she would make sure her sister kicked her out of the country. The woman replied that Yoonhee wouldn't dare do that. Yoonhee demanded that she remove the article immediately because she didn't have time to play games. Yoonhee turned to leave. The woman suddenly grabbed her leg, begging her not to go. She said she didn't understand why Yoonhee had to protect her so much. Then, in anger, the woman accused Yoonhee of not loving her anymore. She said she was just a kid. If Yoonhee no longer loved her sister, then she should just date her instead. Yoonhee's expression darkened when she heard the woman said that she was disgusted. The woman laughed again, saying she had known Yoonhee for 9 years. She had seen everything Yoonhee sacrificed since she quit her dream job. She said it hurt her to see Yoonhee risk her future for such a young girl. Yoonhee looked down, falling into silence. The woman continued, saying she couldn't believe that someone as rational as Yoonhee would choose to start a relationship with her, out of all people. Aerin leaned against the steel bar, her heart pounding as she listened carefully. The woman then begged Yoonhee to break up with her and promised she wouldn't expose her identity if she did. Yoonhee replied coldly that if the woman thought she could threaten her, she was wrong. The woman smiled slightly, triggered by Yoonhee's response. She said maybe Yoonhee should know that she had already figured out her weakness. She added that the real reason Yoonhee transferred to this school was because of Aerin. Yoonhee froze in shock. Outside, Aerin felt the world around her grow darker. Her eyes widened as she heard the woman say her name. Chapter 26. Aerin was lost in deep thought but snapped back to reality when Jihsoo asked if she was listening and if she had heard about Ms. Lee. Aerin looked at Jihsoo curiously and asked what she had heard about Yoonhee. Jihsoo replied that it was about the rumor. She had only found out that morning, but fortunately, it was denied the very next minute. Aerin quickly asked who denied it. Jihsoo answered that it was the culprit. She explained that when PE class started, she was walking around and saw the principal heading toward the notice board with someone. When she turned to look at today's school paper, the culprit had already posted a statement confirming that the rumor had been playfully edited using 2 different photos. Jihsoo said she felt relieved because she knew their homeroom teacher wasn't that kind of person. Aerin's eyes slowly narrowed as she remained silent, realizing that this was not what she had overheard earlier that morning. At principal's office, the principal asked Yoonhee what she had just said. Yoonhee begged the principal to fire her. The principal frowned and asked for a reason, reminding her that she was proven innocent. He added that the issue would be forgotten in a few months, especially once final exams began. The professor standing beside him spoke up, saying it was difficult to find a transfer teacher as capable as Yoonhee. He added that her research paper was only halfway finished and that the principal had been looking forward to it. Yoonhee remained silent, staring out the window. After a moment, she politely bowed and apologized if her decision was disappointing. She said she would try to finish her research within the month and asked them to respect her choice. She added that she was afraid she might become a negative influence on the students and the school's reputation. The principal fell silent before finally saying he would give her 2 weeks to reconsider. The door slowly opened. Outside, the sound of students whispering about Yoonhee filled the hallway. Yoonhee walked out of the office quietly. Jihyun stood there, stunned and surprised when she saw her. Yoonhee simply walked past Jihyun. For a brief second, Yoonhee glanced at her. Jihyun's eyes filled with sadness. She continued walking away. Jihyun followed her with her eyes, confused about why she still looked so down even though the rumor had been denied. Jihyun was left standing there in silence. At Yoonhee's apartment, Jihyun knocked loudly on Yoonhee's door, reminding her that they had class that night. From inside, Yoonhee shouted that she could come in. Jihyun stepped inside. The apartment was dark and felt empty. She softly called out Yoonhee's name and asked why the lights weren't on. Before she could ask what was wrong, the lights suddenly flicked on. In the next second, Yoonhee rushed toward her and pulled her into a tight hug. Yoonhee buried her face into Jihyun's neck, holding her firmly. After a moment, Yoonhee whispered that they needed to talk. Chapter 27. Jihyun shouted in shock when she found out someone had blackmailed Yoonhee. Yoonhee calmly replied that it was just an acquaintance and that everything was fine now. Jihyun worriedly asked why Yoonhee still wanted to resign. Yoonhee answered that it was because she wanted Jihyun to focus on herself. Jihyun nervously asked what she meant and anxiously wondered if she had done something to make Yoonhee uncomfortable. Before she could finish, Yoonhee told her to relax and stop being overly cautious. Yoonhee added that she knew Jihyun cared about her, but sometimes it felt like Jihyun forgot that they were equals. They were sitting on Yoonhee's bed. Yoonhee then admitted that even if she told the truth and got fired, her life would still turn out fine. She said she could handle it and easily find another job. But Jihyun was different. Yoonhee said Jihyun still had a long road ahead of her, and she didn't want her to get stuck in a relationship where both of them would eventually sink. Jihyun tried to respond but couldn't fully form her words. Yoonhee calmly explained that this incident was a warning. If she stayed, something like this would happen again someday. She didn't want to ruin Jihyun's future. Jihyun anxiously asked about her dissertation and her job. Was she really giving everything up? Before she could finish, Yoonhee gently cut her off and said she wasn't giving up. She just wanted to start over. Yoonhee smiled brightly. Jihyun stared at her, still stunned and worried. Then Jihyun moved closer and hugged Yoonhee tightly. The room filled with silence. She held her even tighter and promised that she would mature and protect Yoonhee from now on. Yoonhee smiled shyly, her cheeks slightly flushed. Flashback. Yoonhee remembered the first time she saw Jihyun. They met at a bar. At that time, Yoonhee thought Jihyun didn't look like someone she could rely on. She even wondered why it had to be her.
She didn't know.
Moments later, the memory shifted. The room felt warm. Jihyun was on top of Yoonhee, about to kiss her. Jihyun held Yoonhee's hand and pinned it gently to the bed. Yoonhee's back arched slightly as Jihyun hovered above her, both of them breathing heavily. Next day, morning. Jihyun woke up and realized Yoonhee wasn't beside her. Yoonhee had left, convincing herself that what happened between them was a mistake. Jihyun sat alone in bed, staring at the empty space beside her, still feeling hurt. A few months later, Yoonhee never expected to see Jihyun again. She was feeding stray cats by the roadside, her smile bright and peaceful. She thought to herself that maybe destiny loved playing with them. Jihyun suddenly spotted her. Her eyes lit up in shock. Yoonhee wondered why they had met again, even as she pretended not to remember Jihyun. Another memory flashed. Jihyun pinning Yoonhee gently against the library shelves. Yoonhee had thought that even when the world began talking badly about her, letting Jihyun go felt far more complicated than she had imagined. End of flashback. Jihyun holding Yoonhee's face while tears streamed down her cheeks, apologizing sincerely. A few moments later, Yoonhee was still awake, deep in thought, watching Jihyun sleeping peacefully beside her. Slowly, Yoonhee leaned in and kissed Jihyun's cheek. In her heart, she silently thanked her. Chapter 28. At counselor's office. Jihyun asked Aerin why she had suddenly come, since she thought Aerin was still mad at her. Aerin replied that she wasn't a child who couldn't handle a simple misunderstanding between rivals. She added that she didn't like Jihyun that way, and that what she said before was just a joke out of frustration. Jihyun answered that she already knew that. Aerin looked away, placing her hands on her waist. Deep down, she still didn't want to talk to Jihyun, but this was more important. Her brows furrowed as she politely asked Jihyun to tell her everything about Yoonhee. Jihyun looked stunned and confused. Then she asked Aerin if she liked Yoonhee. Aerin suddenly grew furious and shouted that only someone crazy like Jihyun would fall for Yoonhee. Jihyun sat on the table and calmly asked why Aerin suddenly wanted to know so much about her. Aerin lied, saying she just wanted to make sure Yoonhee was good enough for Jihyun. Jihyun laughed lightly and said Yoonhee was good. She then asked what Aerin wanted to know. Aerin asked where Yoonhee's hometown was. Jihyun answered, slightly confused by the strange question, that Yoonhee was born in Korea and emigrated to England for some time. Aerin then asked if she had met Yoonhee's parents. Jihyun replied that she hadn't, and that Yoonhee rarely talked about them. Aerin asked if Yoonhee had any siblings. Jihyun said she was an only child. Their conversation continued for nearly an hour. A few moments later, Aerin walked out of the office, lost in thought, unsure of who she should believe. She suddenly stopped when she saw Jihsoo sitting alone on the stairs outside the building. Jihsoo was quietly about to eat her sushi, but froze when Aerin sat down beside her. Aerin asked why she wasn't eating in the canteen with her friends. Jihsoo replied that it was better to eat alone. Aerin curiously asked why. Jihsoo forced a smile and said she didn't know. Maybe people didn't want to sit with her because of her appearance or her intense personality. Aerin remained silent, just watching her. Jihsoo added that it was fine, because having Aerin by her side now was more than enough. Aerin looked straight ahead, still quiet. Then suddenly, she asked Jihsoo what she had said the first time she approached her. She repeated the question, asking what the very first thing was that Jihsoo had said. Jihsoo's eyes widened in embarrassment, and her cheeks turned red. Aerin stared directly into her eyes. Jihsoo quickly looked away and said it had been a year, so she didn't remember anymore. Aerin teasingly asked if she had really forgotten. Jihsoo stuttered and nodded. Inside, Jihsoo began overthinking. Was Aerin about to reject her again? Had she said something wrong? Aerin then threatened that she would leave if Jihsoo didn't tell her. Overwhelmed, Jihsoo repeatedly said that she would tell it. Aerin smiled softly at her. Jihsoo nervously stuttered that she really liked Aerin and asked if she could give her a chance to be her girlfriend. She quickly took a sip of her drink, trying to brush off her nervousness. Aerin smiled and simply said that she would. Jihsoo's eyes widened in shock. Aerin softly called Jihsoo's name and asked her to be her girlfriend. Jihsoo stared at her, frozen, as milk slowly spilled from the corner of her mouth. Chapter 29. Aerin was lying on her bed, already regretting that she had asked Jihsoo to be her girlfriend. Jihsoo sat on the floor beside the bed and asked softly if Aerin was feeling any better. Aerin remained silent, just staring at her. She couldn't believe that even her mom had let Jihsoo inside. Annoyed, Aerin told her that she had said not to come. Jihsoo replied that Aerin had told her she was sick, so she got worried. "I'm fine now," Aerin said coldly, "and that she can leave." Jihsoo looked at her with puppy eyes, still clearly worried, and asked if she could stay a little longer because she had been so concerned. Aerin cringed and told her to stop acting cute. She muttered that she shouldn't have told Jihsoo where she lived. Jihsoo's expression fell, and she apologized quietly for coming over without thinking. Blushing, Jihsoo rested her head on the edge of Aerin's bed and shyly asked if she was still dreaming because it felt unreal that Aerin had allowed her into her home. Aerin flatly replied that it was her mom who had let her in. Jihsoo covered her face with her hands, blushing even harder. She nervously asked if Aerin's mom accepted her and whether they could do girlfriend things there. Aerin froze, speechless. She hadn't even thought about that. After a moment, Aerin sat up and told Jihsoo to come sit on the bed because she needed to remind her of something. Confused but obedient, Jihsoo climbed onto the bed and sat close to her. Aerin calmly explained that when she said they could be girlfriends, it meant she was giving Jihsoo a chance. But in return, Jihsoo had to follow some rules. Jisoo's face lit up with excitement. She promised she would do her best to be a good girlfriend. Aerin looked down and sighed before beginning. The first Aerin stated was no kissing. She repeated it firmly. Then she stated the second rule, which made Jihsoo stiffen in surprise. Aerin added a third rule, her tone completely serious. Jihsoo looked so shocked that her eyes nearly filled with tears. Aerin tilted her head and teasingly asked if it was really that hard. She giggled softly when Jihsoo looked at her in disbelief. Then Aerin reached forward and gently held the back of Jisoo's neck, pulling her slightly closer. She leaned in and softly whispered in Jisoo's ear that if she listened well, maybe things could change. Before Jisoo could respond, Aerin lightly bit Jisoo's ear in a teasing gesture, her hand slowly sliding along Jisoo's shoulder. Aerin pulled back just enough to murmur that good girlfriends might earn rewards, as she slowly brushed her tongue against Jisoo's ear. Chapter 30. She suddenly froze. For some reason, she had the strange urge to bite Jisoo. Her hand remained on Jisoo's shoulder as she looked away, thinking to herself that she only wanted to see Jisoo's reaction, just to test what would happen if she pretended to return her feelings. Jisoo's heart pounded loudly in her chest. Aerin slowly turned back to look at her. Jisoo was so nervous that she began talking nonsense, her words stumbling over each other. She quickly covered her ears and looked away, mumbling that she shouldn't wash them anymore. Aerin stared at her, stunned by how dramatic she was being. A few moments later, Jisoo slid off the bed and crouched on the floor, bending forward and stuttering to herself. She didn't know what to do. Her heart was racing so fast, and she couldn't believe Aerin had actually done that. Aerin stood up and walked toward the chair, telling herself that she should have kept her distance from Jisoo. She sat down, resting her chin on her hand, thinking that seeing someone lose control over a small impulse of hers wasn't that bad after all. Meanwhile, Jisoo kept whispering to herself, wondering if she was dreaming. Aerin kept watching her before softly calling out her name. Jisoo slowly looked up. When she saw Erin's pretty face staring at her, she immediately started blushing again and covered her mouth in disbelief. Aerin wondered how Jisoo could be so naive. She asked whether Jisoo only showed this foolish side to her, especially without her usual dramatic makeup. Jisoo instantly lit up and made a peace sign. She explained that, except for her uncle, Aerin was the second person she could truly be herself around. Her uncle had once told her that if she only showed her bad side, people would never stay to look at her. Aerin curiously asked who the first person was. Jisoo replied that it was her best friend from junior high, but they had suddenly lost contact. Aerin felt a small spark of jealousy and quietly looked away. Suddenly, her phone vibrated loudly, giving her goosebumps. She slowly picked it up and read the message. Someone had texted her, telling her to come alone to a cafe. Aerin frowned slightly, then looked back at Jisoo. She casually told her to come with her on Sunday. Jisoo's face immediately lit up, and she pointed at herself in surprise. Chapter 31. Jisoo's face lit up the moment she saw Aerin coming. Aerin, however, frowned. She didn't look happy to see her at all. Jisoo excitedly showed her the bike she had brought and proudly said she could take Aerin anywhere she wanted to go. Aerin replied coldly that she was not going. Jisoo froze, stunned by her answer. Without another word, Aerin turned and began walking away. Jisoo quickly chased after her, asking what was wrong. She reminded Aerin that she had asked her to come to the cafe together and questioned why she had suddenly changed her mind. Jisoo then asked to wait her, so she could take her bike. She hurried after Aerin while holding onto her bike, asking where she was going. She suggested that if Aerin didn't want to go to the cafe, they could go to the mall nearby instead. There would be lots of cafeterias and restaurants. Before she could finish, Aerin stopped and turned around, clearly annoyed. She only remembers telling Jisoo to come. She glanced at the bike and scoffed, saying it was ridiculous for Jisoo to expect her to ride on such an uncomfortable back seat. Jisoo began to sweat, stunned by her words. Aerin continued coldly that she didn't even like bikes. She would rather walk barefoot or stand in line for bus tickets than sit on that seat. Keep that in mind, she added. Jisoo lowered her head, upset. She apologized softly, saying she didn't know. She told Aerin to wait for a moment so she could park the bike somewhere. Aerin coldly told her that there was no need and that she would handle it herself. Then she told Jisoo to go home. Jisoo stuttered, worried, saying it wasn't safe for her to go far alone. All thanks to you, Aerin replied angrily as she raised her hand to call a taxi. Jisoo stood there, feeling guilty, thinking she had made Aerin upset again. Suddenly, everything happened in an instant. A bus sped toward Aerin. Watch out, Jisoo screamed. Her bike fell to the ground as she rushed forward. Jisoo threw herself in front of her, using her body as a shield. Don't leave me, Jisoo shouted desperately as she wrapped her arms tightly around Aerin. The bus conductor stared at them in disbelief. For a moment, the world between them went completely silent. Then a taxi arrived. Aerin sighed and walked over to speak with the driver. Behind her, Jihsoo quickly picked up her fallen bike, telling herself she had to hurry if she wanted to catch up to Aerin's taxi. She looked at Aerin while getting back on her bike. Aerin stayed silent for a few seconds. Then she suddenly said to Jihsoo to get on. A few moments later, Aerin and Jihsoo were riding the bike together, crossing a bridge in quiet tension. Chapter 32. Aerin and Jihsoo had arrived at their destination. Aerin gestured toward the cafe by the traffic lights and told Jihsoo to stay put until she came out. "Why can't we go together?" Jihsoo asked, curiosity evident in her voice. "It's not safe," Aerin replied coldly. Jihsoo froze at the word unsafe, then asked, "Why does she insist on going? Who is she meeting?" Aerin's expression hardened. As she said, replied that she meeting a psychopath. And she not sure what she's going to do, so Jihsoo needs to be smart and ready to act if something goes wrong. "I'll protect you," Jihsoo said bravely. "You can count on me no matter what." Aerin's mind flashed back to the abandoned building. She remembered the woman confronting Yoonhee. The woman had confronted Yoonhee, saying she already knew her weaknesses. The reason Yoonhee transferred to this school was because of Aerin, she taunted. Yoonhee froze, her shock turning to fury. Aerin's heart had skipped a beat when she heard the woman told Yoonhee that Aerin was her beloved sister. The woman smirked and continued, her voice dripping with malice. Her fist gripped as she told Yoonhee that it just like her, 10 years ago. She was so pretty. Then, she asked Yoonhee with a cruel grin, what should she do to Aerin? Yoonhee went silent, horror rooting her in place. The woman leaned closer, whispering, "Go on, harm her, just like you did to me back then." Yoonhee's head turned away, but her eyes couldn't leave the woman. The threat lingered, chillingly clear. She would show Yoonhee exactly what hell meant. Present day. Aerin arrived at the cafe and carefully pulled back the curtain. Inside, the woman lounged on a couch, smoking, her feet casually resting on the table. Her gaze locked on Aerin, smirking. She asked Aerin if she not scared of her as she teasingly called her Yoonhee's baby sister. Aerin frowned, her jaw tightening, telling her to watch her mouth, and that she doesn't have any sisters. She glared, then demanded how rude she was, and asked her why did you want to meet Aerin. She then added that she had heard some people spreading rumors about me. The woman's smile widened, as she told Aerin that those aren't rumors. They're all true. Aerin scoffed that anyone can say anything. The woman replied that the fact Aerin wants to see her says the she has a major benefit for Aerin now. Aerin froze, confused, as a steel bar began slowly rolling down the cafe. The woman's smile turned eerie. "She doesn't do anything for free," she said, eyes glinting with malice. She added that she hopes that little swamp rat of Aerin doesn't try to interrupt their precious time. Aerin glanced away nervously, heart racing. Outside, Jihsoo's eyes widened in worry as she noticed the steel bar moving toward unknown danger. Chapter 33. Aerin glanced away nervously, heart racing. She told the woman she didn't care whether she was a cafe owner, a pathetic stalker, or an aggressive abuser. What bothered her, she said, were the inconsistencies. Yoonhee constantly tried to approach her. Somehow, this woman had her private number. And when Yoonhee's career had supposedly collapsed, she returned to work almost immediately, as if the issues had never existed. Aerin frowned and stated firmly that she did not believe in their ridiculous games. The woman studied her carefully. For a moment, disbelief passed over her face. Then she laughed, slow, teasing, entertained. She said it was understandable. It was natural not to believe a stranger. Reaching into her pocket, the woman pulled out a photo. She explained that telling Aerin everything would be too risky if Yoonhee discovered it. But for someone intelligent like Aerin, she claimed, the picture alone should be enough. The woman smiled and replied that she had no time to invent lies. She gently placed the photos on the table and told Aerin to look at it, to look at something far beyond imagination. Aerin remained still, refusing to show interest, until she saw it. Her composure fractured. Her breathing faltered. The woman began her story. 8 years ago, she said, a heartless unmarried couple had caused an accident that nearly killed Yoonhee. The women immediately rejected it. The woman's voice rose. It was not an accident, she declared. Aerin's biological parents had deliberately crashed into Yoonhee. Shock widened Aerin's eyes. She instinctively reached for the photograph, but her hand stopped midway when the woman continued speaking. She claimed it had all been done so Aerin could live comfortably. The cafe felt suffocating. The woman then described the day Yoonhee awoke from a 10-month coma. She asked Aerin to imagine the first words Yoonhee had spoken. According to her, Yoonhee had said she wanted to see Aerin lying there, covered in tubes, ventilators, and bandages. Aerin did not speak. The woman went on, saying Yoonhee had slowly changed after that, becoming someone unrecognizable. She stopped talking about Aerin entirely. And if not for Yoonhee's so-called kindness, Aerin would not be living in luxury. Anger finally broke through. Aerin called the woman a psycho and demanded to know if she even understood the gravity of what she was saying. The woman stood up. Her laughter filled the enclosed cafe, echoing against steel and glass. She seemed almost delighted by the accusation. Slowly, she moved behind about as she pulled out a towel. Without warning, she grabbed Aerin's head and pressed a towel tightly over her mouth. The movement was swift.
Practiced.
Aerin struggled immediately. The woman leaned close, her voice soft and intimate, almost affectionate. Unfortunately, she whispered, no one would save her from this psycho. Chapter 34. But before the moment could settle, shouting erupted from outside. Someone was yelling a name. Then came the distant wail of sirens, growing louder by the second. The woman frowned, irritation flashing across her face. Aerin's eyes burned with fury. The woman clicked her tongue. She muttered how annoying it was. Aerin's hands shot upward. She grabbed the woman's wrist, twisted sharply, and forced her balance forward. In one swift motion, Aerin shoved her down. The woman hit the ground hard. Before she could react, Aerin pinned both of her wrists to the floor. Her grip was firm, unyielding. The woman stared up at her, stunned by the strength she hadn't anticipated. Aerin's face had gone cold. She told her not to ever expose it. The woman's eyes widened slightly. If she was planning to take revenge for the teacher, Aerin continued, then she should reconsider. Because when the worst-case scenario arrived, even God would not be on her side. Moments later, the steel barrier lifted. Aerin stepped out of the cafe, without looking back. Jihsoo spotted her immediately. She called out Aerin's name and hurried toward her, asking if everything had gone well. Aerin replied that, as expected, the woman was indeed a psycho. Jihsoo asked Aerin if the woman had done something to her, as her right hand remained pressed tightly against her waist. Aerin noticed, and asked her why was she holding her waist. She asked what happened. Jihsoo tried to brush it off, saying it was nothing, just something that came up while she was waiting. Aerin raised an eyebrow and asked what that something was. Reluctantly, Jihsoo explained. It had been getting dark. She heard shouting behind her. Before she could react, a man slammed into her at full speed. He had been running. Another man chased him. Later she realized he was a thief. The police arrived shortly after. As she spoke, Aerin's gaze dropped to Jihsoo's waist. She told Jihsoo to remove her hand. Jihsoo hesitated. Aerin raised her voice and ordered her to take it off. Slowly, Jihsoo obeyed. A deep cut stretched across her waist, blood seeping through the torn fabric. Jihsoo muttered that it didn't look very good and that Aerin might not want to see it. Silence followed. Then Aerin turned away and told Jihsoo to get her bike. She was taking her to the hospital. Jihsoo immediately protested, saying it was just a minor injury and she could treat it later. Aerin spun around. She shouted that it was not minor. Jihsoo was bleeding. Her frustration erupted. She demanded to know how old Jihsoo was. She had only been gone for an hour, and Jihsoo had already gotten herself hurt. Jihsoo's eyes widened. Aerin continued, asking if someone had stabbed her. Would she still call it minor? Was that how she planned to handle injuries? Why was she being so naive? Jihsoo stepped back slightly and admitted that Aerin was scaring her. Aerin replied that Jihsoo should be grateful the man had not stabbed her to death. Jihsoo nodded obediently and said she was extremely grateful. Aerin told her again to get the bike. But Jihsoo said she did not want to go to the hospital. Erin's temper flared, then asked her where she wanted to go. Jihsoo answered quietly, "Anywhere but the hospital." At Erin's apartment, the room fell into a heavy silence. Aerin stood beside the bed holding cotton and antiseptic. She told Jihsoo to raise her arm. Jihsoo sitting on the bed, a blanket covering her body. Jihsoo stuttered, saying she did not think this was okay. Chapter 35. Aerin frowned slightly and asked whether Jihsoo could clean a wound on her back by herself. Jihsoo stammered, attempting to explain, but Aerin cut her off and repeated that she should raise her arm. Jihsoo clarified quickly. She said she meant it was awkward. Aerin could clean the wound while her clothes were still on. Aerin replied that leaving fabric against an open cut would only make it worse. She added that Jihsoo should not feel awkward. They were both girls, and she was not particularly interested in looking at her anyway. She adjusted the blanket and raised her arm slowly. Aerin moved behind her and began cleaning the wound. The cotton pressed gently against torn skin. Trying to ease the tension, Jihsoo changed the subject. She asked whether Erin's mother was always away on business. Aerin answered that she would actually be surprised if her mother ever stayed home. Jihsoo said that Aerin must have felt lonely growing up like that. Erin's voice turned distant. "It was not a big deal," she replied. At least her mother had raised her. Jihsoo lowered her gaze. She admitted quietly that she was a little jealous of Aerin. Aerin said nothing as she applied betadine carefully along the cut. Jihsoo continued, saying she could barely remember how her own mother used to treat her. The blanket slipped slightly lower as Aerin worked, focusing on covering the entire wound with antiseptic. Jihsoo flinched. Aerin paused and looked at her. Jihsoo stiffened immediately. Aerin leans in closer as she whispered near her ear that she did not mean to hurt her. She explained that the cut was deeper than it looked, so it was impossible not to feel soreness. Jihsoo shifted away slightly and muttered that Aerin has a bad habit. Aerin blinked in confusion, still holding her arm. Jihsoo turned her head to face her, cheeks flushed. She said Aerin did not need to lean that close just to talk. It did not hurt that much, she could endure it. Aerin's lips curved into a teasing smile. She asked why Jihsoo always seemed so tense whenever she touched her. Jihsoo immediately denied it, saying Aerin should not underestimate her. Aerin laughed softly. As the antiseptic soaked deeper into the wound, Jihsoo let out a quiet, involuntary sound before quickly biting it back. Aerin continued cleaning carefully, her movements now gentler. After a few moments, she wiped the area dry and said it was done. If there were signs of infection, Jihsoo would need to see a doctor. Jihsoo turned obediently and nodded. She opened her mouth to thank Aerin, but both of them froze. The blanket slipped from Jihsoo's grasp and fell. Silence filled the room. Jihsoo looked down, eyes widening in horror as realization struck. Her face flushed instantly, her heart pounding so loudly she was certain it could be heard. Aerin stood completely still. Color rushed to her face when she realized what she was seeing. Without a word, she grabbed a towel and threw it toward Jihsoo, her voice suddenly sharp. She demanded to know who told her to turn around. Chapter 36. At night, the apartment was quiet. Aerin slept soundly at first, her breathing steady, her body finally at rest after the long day. But her expression slowly tightened. A faint frown formed as the nightmare crept in. Then, without warning, the dream shifted to Jihsoo. That brief, accidental moment neither of them had been prepared for. Aerin's eyes flew open. She sat up abruptly, kicking her blanket away. Her hand gripped the edge of the mattress tightly as she tried to steady her breathing. She asked herself why she was dreaming about Jihsoo. She stared down at her hands in the dim light, silent. Slowly, almost unwillingly, Aerin realized she was blushing. Next morning, at the cafeteria buzzed with low chatter. Jihyun sat across from Aerin and Jihsoo, observing them with visible confusion. Then, suddenly, she asked Aerin if Jihsoo was her girlfriend. Jisoo's face lit up instantly, a soft blush spreading across her cheeks. Aerin, however, looked away. After a brief pause, she answered coldly, "No." Jisoo's expression froze. Aerin added that Jihsoo was simply a close classmate and not her cup of tea. The words landed heavier than she intended. Jihsoo fell silent, her earlier brightness fading. She looked down at her tray, clearly upset. Ji-hyun blinked, surprised by the tension. She commented that it was her first time seeing Aerin with a new friend. Then she turned to Jihsoo and asked if her name was really Jihsoo. Jihsoo nodded softly and replied that she had heard a lot about Ji-hyun. Ji-hyun smiled and said Jihsoo could call her Uni since she was Aerin's friend. She then apologized for her earlier cold behavior, admitting she had misunderstood Jihsoo's intentions and thought she was approaching Aerin for the wrong reasons. Jihsoo laughed lightly and assured her she did not mind. As they talked, Ji-hyun carefully picked up a strawberry from her tray. After inspecting it, she handed it to Aerin, saying that one tasted better. Aerin accepted it and thanked her politely. Jihsoo went quiet. A second later, she stood up. She excused herself quickly and walked away without touching her food. Aerin looked up confused. She watched Jihsoo's retreating figure and slowly realized something was off. Jihsoo had not eaten anything that morning. Ji-hyun called Aerin's name softly. She asked again whether Jihsoo was really just a friend. Aerin frowned and asked what Ji-hyun was expecting. Ji-hyun shrugged lightly and said she was only asking. Then she mentioned that she had recently met a new student council member, someone who seemed to have a strong attachment to quiet, nerdy types. Aerin's expression stilled. Ji-hyun continued casually, suggesting she could introduce Jihsoo to her later. Aerin froze when she heard this. Chapter 37. She looked away for a moment before turning back. Aerin raised an eyebrow and looked away, then turned back to Ji-hyun, asking, "Does she have to do that?" Ji-hyun tilted her head, curiously asking her why. Aerin's gaze hardened, and asked her how could Ji-hyun say that as the vice president of the student council. Ji-hyun laughed lightly, brushing it off as she replied to Aerin that everyone knows people secretly date. As long as it doesn't affect their studies, it's fine. Aerin's eyes narrowed. Aerin told Ji-hyun that Jihsoo usually gets poor grades. A relationship will only drag her down. Ji-hyun smiled reassuringly, her tone gentle but confident. To not worry, because the new council member will be a good influence if anything develops. She's new, and she comes from a top-tier high school. Aerin opened her mouth to respond, but Jihsoo returned to the table before she could speak. Aerin's eyes flicked toward her silently, then looked away again. Jihsoo froze mid-step, sensing the tension and confusion between Aerin and Ji-hyun. Ji-hyun also fell silent, studying both of them with curiosity. Jihsoo let out a small, quiet sigh. She felt like a third wheel, caught between Aerin and Ji-hyun. Breaking the silence, Ji-hyun asked Jihsoo what kind of person she liked. Jihsoo blinked, curiously asking Ji-hyun what she meant. Ji-hyun repeated her question, more pointed this time. Jihsoo hesitated, then admitted softly that she doesn't really know. Maybe someone pretty was her ideal type. Ji-hyun chuckled as she told Jihsoo that it doesn't count, and everyone likes good-looking people. It's human nature. Ji-hyun asked Jihsoo if she already was seeing anyone. Jihsoo instinctively glanced at Aerin. She couldn't say yes. After a few moments, she answered quietly, no, and she was seeing anyone. Ji-hyun nodded, her smile reassuring, telling Jihsoo that she aimed to hear that, and that since Jihsoo was Aerin's friend, you're also mine. If you ever need help, just ask me. Jihsoo nodded politely, though unease lingered in her chest. Then she asked cautiously, why does Ji-hyun was suddenly asking all these questions? Ji-hyun pulled out her phone and told Jihsoo that she has a new friend. And her friend likes someone like Jihsoo, and added that if Jihsoo felt the same way they could set up a date. Jihsoo's hands tensed, a nervous sweat forming on her brow. Aerin, meanwhile, leaned back slightly, her expression unreadable, eyes focused elsewhere. Ji-hyun scrolled further through her phone, telling Jihsoo to relax because she was also pretty. But before Ji-hyun could show the photo, Aerin's voice cut through the air, firm and unyielding. Aerin softly called out Ji-hyun. Aerin added that Jihsoo already has a girlfriend. Chapter 38. The words stunned the table into silence. Jihsoo looked at Aerin with sudden hope, a faint blush rising to her cheeks. Ji-hyun's expression shifted. Her playful tone disappeared. She asked Aerin who Jihsoo's girlfriend was. Aerin frowned and shot Jihsoo a sharp glance. Jihsoo stiffened under the look. Her throat tightened, and no words came out. She lowered her gaze, confusion stirring inside her. She had done nothing wrong. It was Aerin who had insisted they were only friends. Aerin turned back to Jihyun and said she did not know who Jihsoo was dating. Then she asked Jihsoo pointedly whether she had never mentioned it to her. Jihsoo fell into deep thought. Why was Aerin hiding their relationship? Why deny it so easily earlier? Still, she nodded in agreement. Aerin's eyes darkened. She leaned closer to Jihsoo and asked how she could go along with it so easily. Her voice sharpened as she added that Jihsoo had not only lied to Jihyun but had also been about to meet another girl behind her girlfriend's back. Aerin leaned in even closer, causing Jihsoo to flinch. Their eyes locked. Jihyun chuckled lightly, breaking the tension. She told Aerin it was fine, there must be a good reason behind it. Jihsoo blinked in disbelief, thinking that Jihyun was the completely opposite of Aerin. Aerin remained frowning, her thoughts briefly drifting to the teacher, wondering if that was where Jihsoo had learned such behavior. The bell rang, cutting through the atmosphere. A cafeteria staff member announced that school was over for the day. Jihyun smiled, saying she needed to return to her club activities. She added that she would see Jihsoo around sometime. Jihsoo smiled politely and replied that she was glad to become friends with her. In the classroom, the room was nearly empty. Aerin continued talking about Jihyun, explaining that she had always been soft-hearted. She said that whenever Jihyun saw someone who looked vulnerable, someone like Jihsoo, she would naturally feel the urge to take care of them in one way or another. Jihsoo, standing at the front desk, had lowered. Her thoughts drifted elsewhere. Aerin had been talking about Jihyun ever since they returned. The words blurred together. Finally, Aerin told her to clear her mind about what Jihyun had said earlier. Jihsoo interrupted softly. She said she was sad. Aerin turned her head toward her, confused. A faint frown formed. Jihsoo looked down, gripping a towel tightly in her hands. Her voice was small when she asked whether they were really not dating, or anything at all. Silence filled the classroom. Aerin did not answer immediately. Then she began walking toward Jihsoo. Slowly. The sound of her footsteps echoed in the empty room. Before Jihsoo could react, Aerin pinned her gently but firmly against the board. Jihsoo froze. Her face turned red as she looked away. Aerin told her to look at her. After a hesitant moment, Jihsoo obeyed. Aerin leaned closer, her voice low and steady as she asked when exactly they had stopped being in that kind of relationship. Jihsoo swallowed and replied that Aerin had only ever treated her like a friend, but before she could finish, Aerin moved even closer. She interrupted quietly, whispering near Jihsoo's ear that it was only because she did not know what love truly meant. The words brushed softly against Jihsoo's skin. Then Aerin asked her, in a voice barely above a whisper, if she wanted her to show her what love meant. Chapter 39. Jihsoo's heart pounded. She answered nervously that Aerin was her first love too, and she did not know what love meant either. Silence followed. Aerin's expression darkened. She looked away, something sharp flashing across her face. In her mind, she called Jihsoo naive. What else had she expected from her? She turned her head aside and told Jihsoo to forget it, to pretend she had never said anything. Then she added coldly that Jihsoo should hurry up and finish her work. She did not want to waste time anymore. Jihsoo panicked. She quickly asked if she had done something wrong. Aerin turned back and asked her seriously whether she thought she had. Without thinking, Jihsoo reached out and held Aerin's hand. Aerin stiffened. Irritation flickered across her face. She demanded to know who told Jihsoo to hold her hand and asked what was wrong with her. Jihsoo swallowed and asked quietly if, next time Aerin felt down, she could hold her hand like that. Aerin replied coldly that she was not feeling down. Jihsoo added softly that she had noticed Aerin left the strawberries untouched earlier. Aerin blinked, slightly confused. She asked whether Jihsoo still had time to notice something like that. Jisoo's face brightened. She admitted that it was because she liked Aerin very much. Aerin stared at her for a moment, then looked away again, thinking she was foolish. After that day, something between them grew quiet. Even though Aerin remained tough on the outside, she slowly began to give in. Sometimes Jihyun visited their classroom and invited Jihsoo to join her at the canteen or the library. At first, Jihsoo found it awkward, but over time, she understood why Aerin once admired Jihyun. Jihyun was kind, protective, and considerate in a way that felt effortless. During PE classes, their classmates began noticing that Aerin and Jihsoo were inseparable. Jihsoo used every small break to try to make Aerin laugh, though she often felt that Aerin did not find her very funny. Aerin had not liked the idea of Jihsoo coming over to her house at first, but gradually it became normal. Jihsoo started visiting freely after school to study. Even Erin's mother and the cat seemed to grow used to her presence, no longer reacting to her being there. Present day. Snow began to fall. Jihsoo looked up at the sky while walking beside Aerin. She asked if Aerin had noticed that winter break was coming a little earlier this year. She added that it would have been nice if Erin's mother allowed them to spend the holidays together. Aerin stayed quiet. Snowflakes landed softly on her uniform and hair. Jihsoo thought that being able to greet every season with Aerin felt like heaven. She wrapped her arms around Aerin tightly, cheeks flushed. They had been together for 2 months now, but her expression slowly turned serious. Nothing much had changed between them. Maybe that was why she was becoming greedy. Later that day, they were studying quietly. Without warning, Jihsoo leaned closer and pressed a soft kiss against Aerin's cheek. Time stopped. Aerin froze completely, stunned. Even the cat lifted its head as if shocked by the sudden movement. Chapter 40. Jihsoo pulled back slowly, her heart racing. Silence swallowed the room. The cat was still startled by the sudden movement. Then Aerin suddenly shoved Jihsoo aside. Jihsoo stared at her in shock. Aerin stood up abruptly, her face burning red. She demanded to know what Jihsoo thought she was doing. How dare she kiss her like that? Had she forgotten the rules? She pressed her palm against her cheek, still blushing. Jihsoo stuttered, trying to explain. She reminded Aerin that she had mentioned kissing before, so she thought a simple peck on the cheek would not be impossible. She added shyly that she only wanted to thank Aerin for helping her improve this semester. Because of her, she no longer had to attend cram school. Then, trying to lighten the tension, Jihsoo pointed at her own cheek and teased that if Aerin was angry, she could take revenge by giving her a peck too. Aerin fell silent. For a moment, the room felt heavier. Then she reached out and grabbed Jihsoo's chin. Jihsoo gasped. Aerin leaned in closer, her other hand sliding to Jihsoo's cheek. Her eyes were serious, unreadable. Jihsoo's thoughts spiraled. Was Aerin really going to kiss her? Instead, Aerin suddenly squeezed Jihsoo's cheek hard. She demanded that Jihsoo speak. Had she ever allowed her to kiss her? Jihsoo nodded quietly. Aerin continued pinching her cheek, but her mind wandered. Why was Jihsoo's skin so soft? As she held Jihsoo's face in one hand, she found herself observing her closely. Without heavy makeup, Jihsoo still looked attractive. Her lips, warm and slightly parted, looked softer than she had expected. Completely different from the awkward image Jihsoo carried at school. Aerin went silent. Then she abruptly pushed Jihsoo away and stepped back. She adjusted her chair stiffly and announced that she had no interest in doing such silly things. Jihsoo should reflect on herself. She added that she was going to get something to drink. Jihsoo stammered an apology, but Aerin cut her off sharply, warning her not to bring it up again. Left alone, Jihsoo lowered her head, overthinking every second of what had just happened. She scolded herself internally. She should not have kissed Aerin without permission. Of course, Aerin hated it. A soft meow interrupted her thoughts. Jihsoo looked up. Aerin stood a short distance away, holding the cat in her arms. That was when Jihsoo noticed something. Aerin's ears were red. Aerin slowly lifted her hand and touched her own cheek, thinking that something felt strange. Why did the idea of kissing Jihsoo not feel entirely unpleasant? Jisoo's face flashed in her mind. Aerin immediately shook her head, telling herself she was being ridiculous. She muttered internally that Jihsoo was ugly, that she had only started dating her out of boredom. Her thoughts clashed violently with the warmth still lingering on her cheek. Suddenly, Aerin raised her voice. Starting tomorrow, she declared. Jihsoo was not to come near her again. Jihsoo froze. Her eyes widened as the words sank in. Chapter 41. At school. Jihsoo walked through the hallway like a zombie, her mind completely elsewhere. She had convinced herself that Aerin was only joking that day. But it had been 2 days, and Aerin still had not spoken to her. Panic slowly took over. She kept asking herself what she should do. Maybe it was her fault. If only she had not kissed Aerin. If only she had been smarter. Trying to calm herself, she told herself not to overthink. But the uneasy feeling would not leave. Then she noticed the staff room ahead. Her steps slowed. She peeks at the door as she questions herself why Aerin went to the staff room instead of going home. And Ms. Lee was inside as well. Confusion flickered across Jihsoo's face. What were they doing there? She hesitated. Instead of entering, she sat on a nearby bench. She decided to wait. She needed to talk to Aerin as soon as possible. Inside the staff room, Aerin stood stiffly in front of Yoonhee. Her expression was cold. She demanded to know what Yoonhee's intentions toward Jihyun were. Yoonhee remained seated, calm, a pen resting between her fingers. She looked up at Aerin without fear. Aerin reminded her that Jihyun was the only friend she had. 2 months ago, Yoonhee had nearly exposed her. If she was serious about Jihyun, she should not have shown up at school so carelessly. Yoonhee chuckled softly. She mentioned that she had heard Aerin and Jihsoo were getting along very well these days. Aerin looked away, irritated. Yoonhee asked whether Jihsoo was not her friend. Aerin replied that it was none of her business. Yoonhee explained that the principal was dissatisfied with her submitted work, which was why she was there. She added that she had done nothing wrong to Jihyun so far. Then she asked if her was what bothered Aerin. Aerin answered coldly that it was her presence that bothered her. Yoonhee studied her for a moment as Aerin asked if she even wondered why. Then she stated that it was obvious Aerin had liked Jihyun for a long time. Aerin fell silent. She asked what else Yoonhee thought she knew. Yoonhee replied teasingly that Aerin was dating Jihsoo. Aerin frowned slightly. After a pause, she admitted that she had been the one to ask Jihsoo out. Then she questioned why she would date someone she was not attracted to. Yoonhee's expression shifted. She asked slowly whether Aerin had started the relationship just for fun. Aerin frowned and said Yoonhee was too sensitive. She claimed she had never said that. Outside, Jihsoo felt her heart pounding. She had not meant to listen. But when she heard her name again, her feet moved on their own. Then Aerin spoke. She agreed. She said Jihsoo was naive and it was fun to play with her. Jihsoo froze. The hallway felt unbearably quiet. Her mind went blank, yet painfully loud at the same time. Chapter 42. Inside the room, Yoonhee's expression darkened. She told Aerin sharply that saying such words about someone who liked her, especially when Jihsoo was not there to defend herself, was impolite. Aerin tilted her head slightly. She asked why Yoonhee sounded so angry. Yoonhee shot back that she had every right to be angry at the way Aerin spoke. No one wanted to be treated like a toy. Aerin frowned faintly, as if she had expected Yoonhee to react that way. Yoonhee stood up from her chair. She said there was a limit to how idiotic someone could be. After all, Jihsoo was still Aerin's friend. If Jihsoo could not be what Aerin expected, then Aerin should at least respect her. Aerin let out a soft, teasing scoff. She replied that Yoonhee had already taught her that lesson back in the infirmary. Outside, Jihsoo remained frozen, listening. Yoonhee asked if Aerin was referring to the time she broke Jihsoo's leg during PE class. Aerin replied coldly that now that she thought about it, Yoonhee had always pushed her to befriend Jihsoo, even though she did not like her. Jihsoo's hand slowly clenched the fabric of her skirt. Aerin continued. Maybe it was just Yoonhee's way of keeping her away from Jihyun. Maybe befriending Jihsoo was simply convenient. She frowned slightly and added that she had been bored anyway. The words began to sink in on Jihsoo. Aerin went on, saying that until she found someone she truly liked, wasting time with Jihsoo did not sound so bad. Jisoo's fingers loosened from her skirt. Her breathing grew heavy, uneven. Disappointment settled deep in her chest, heavier than anger, heavier than tears. Inside, Aerin suddenly paused. She frowned and turned her head. She had heard something. Yoonhee looked confused and walked toward the door, asking what the noise was. She said she would check. Then, Aerin's eyes widened when she heard Jihsoo's name. Slowly, Aerin turned toward the doorway and stepped out of the staff room. There she was. Jihsoo stood a few steps away, her head lowered, her face hidden by her hair. The world around Jihsoo felt distant and muted, as if she were underwater. Aerin's words replayed over and over in her mind. Aerin stared at her, confusion flashing across her face. Then she asked how long Jihsoo had been standing there. Beside her, Yoonhee clenched her jaw. Part of her wanted to hit Aerin for asking that. Instead, Yoonhee forced a small smile. She waved gently and greeted Jihsoo, saying it had been a long time since they had seen each other. Jihsoo did not respond. She did not lift her head. And then suddenly, she turned and ran. Both Aerin and Yoonhee called out to her. Jihsoo did not look back. Aerin frowned, irritation replacing her confusion. How dare Jihsoo ignore her? Without thinking further, Aerin began to chase after her, calling Jihsoo's name repeatedly. She shouted for her to stop. But Jihsoo kept running. She did not slow down. She did not turn around. Chapter 43. Jihsoo finally stopped running when she heard Aerin calling her from behind. Her breathing was uneven, her chest rising and falling rapidly. She stood there without turning around. Aerin caught up to her moments later. She slowed down as she approached, her eyebrows raised in confusion. She stopped only a few inches behind Jihsoo. Aerin asked why Jihsoo was suddenly acting like this. Then she asked if Jihsoo had been following her the whole time. Jihsoo remained silent. She did not turn around. Aerin's irritation began to grow. She demanded that Jihsoo answer her. Still, Jihsoo said nothing. Aerin asked again if Jihsoo was even listening. Then she asked the question if Jihsoo had heard the conversation between her and Yoonhee. Aerin pressed her lips together, frustrated. She looked down and frowned before saying that she already knew Jihsoo must have heard everything. Jihsoo was just making a big deal out of nothing. Aerin quickly added that she had not meant the thing she said. She claimed she had only been trying to provoke Ms. Lee, and she suddenly stopped. Only then did she realize something. She had never told Jihsoo about Yoonhee and Jihyun. Before she could recover, Jihsoo finally spoke. Her voice was quiet. She asked Aerin what she had taken her for. Aerin blinked, confused. Jihsoo asked again, her voice slightly trembling. What had Aerin taken her for from the very beginning? Jihsoo asked again, her voice slightly trembling. What had Aerin taken her for from the very beginning? She continued, asking why Aerin had asked her out in the first place. This time, Jihsoo said she wanted an honest answer. Aerin looked down. Sweat formed along her temple. For the first time, she looked nervous. But no words came out. The hallway fell silent. The only sound was the soft movement of the curtains as the wind pushed them gently through the open windows. Aerin remained quiet, her gaze drifting away. Jihsoo's expression slowly hardened. She told Aerin that she was cruel. Now it all made sense. Why Aerin's words were always so sharp. Why she would pull Jihsoo closer one moment only to push her away the next. Jihsoo admitted that she had been stupid, that she had been nothing more than a toy. But that did not mean she had no feelings. Aerin stood there, stunned. Jihsoo continued speaking, her voice shaking as emotions poured out. She talked about how she had tried not to get hurt every time Aerin pushed her out of her life. How she had endured every moment when Aerin became angry at her for no reason. Aerin tried to interrupt, stuttering as she attempted to explain. But Jihsoo cut her off. She said the truth was simple. Aerin did not like her. Aerin fell silent again. Jihsoo continued, saying it was obvious. Aerin had never treated her kindly the way she treated Jihyun. After a long pause, Aerin quietly said that she thought Jihsoo did not mind it. Jihsoo looked in disbelief, tears gathering in her eyes. How could she not mind it? Her voice broke as she spoke. She said Aerin had been leading her on, giving her false hope and making her believe that she could become someone important to her. Someone Aerin might actually love. Aerin tried to explain again, but this time, the words would not come out. Silence returned. Then Jihsoo spoke again.
Her voice was colder now.
She said they should just break up. Aerin froze. Shock spread across her face. Panic suddenly flickered in her eyes. She quickly reached out and grabbed Jihsoo's arm, asking her what she had just said. Jihsoo turned around sharply, anger and pain written all over her face. She repeated it that they should just break up. Erin's eyes widened. She had never expected Jihsoo to say something like that. Jihsoo turned away again, lowering her head. Her voice trembled as she whispered to herself that this was not right. Aerin tried to step closer, but she hesitated. Then Jihsoo broke down. She cried openly, her shoulders shaking as she said she could not continue the relationship anymore. Aerin stood there, staring at her. For the first time, she realized how deeply she had hurt her. The hallway around them felt strangely dark and empty, as if the world itself had stepped back and left only the two of them standing in the silence. Chapter 44. Aerin stood there after Jihsoo's breakdown, unable to move. At first, she thought staying silent would calm Jihsoo down. She believed that if she did not say anything, the situation would settle on its own. But instead, Jihsoo had cried. And now Aerin could not speak at all. The sound of Jihsoo's crying echoed painfully in her mind. Every word Jihsoo had said replayed again and again. Then a clear image flashed through her thoughts, Jihsoo breaking down in front of her, crying uncontrollably. That was the moment Aerin realized just how badly she had hurt her. Later, Aerin stood by her locker, quietly fixing her books. Her expression was tense as she replayed yesterday's events in her mind. She sighed. Part of her wondered if she should talk to Jihsoo. But the moment she tried to think about what to say, her thoughts froze. She lowered her gaze. If she approached Jihsoo now, would it not make her look like a hypocrite? After all the things she had said earlier? And she could not explain the real reason behind her frustration either. The thought that Yoonhee might actually be her sister. That idea alone irritated her enough to lose control earlier. Erin's expression suddenly hardened. Why should she even explain herself? Jihsoo would calm down eventually come to her. Just as Aerin finished convincing herself of that, she heard the classroom door open. She turned. Jihsoo had just arrived. Jihsoo slowly walked inside the classroom while Aerin was watching her carefully. Jihsoo did not look at her. Not even once. Jihsoo quietly walked past Aerin and went to her seat, as if she were invisible. Aerin lowered her head and let out a slow sigh. A few moments later, irritation began creeping into her chest. Hours passed. Jihsoo continued, ignoring her completely. Aerin's irritation slowly turned into anger. It was as if Jihsoo was pretending she did not exist at all. Aerin began wondering if Jihsoo was truly planning to cut her off. Just then, Jihyun appeared. She called out to both Jihsoo and Aerin and asked if they wanted to go to the library with her. Aerin quietly looked at Jihyun while holding a book in her hand. Then she stood up and walked over to her. Jihyun glanced toward Jisoo's desk and asked if Jihsoo was not joining them today. She asked what was wrong. Aerin answered simply that she did not know. She added that Jihsoo was not feeling well. Jihyun's tone immediately changed with concern. She asked if Jihsoo was sick. Aerin replied that she thought so. Jihyun suggested that they should let Jihsoo rest. Then she asked Aerin if she wanted to stay in the classroom and take care of her. Aerin replied coldly that it was unnecessary. Jihsoo was not a child anymore. Jihyun chuckled softly at that response and was about to say something else. But someone suddenly called her name. A girl was walking toward them. Jihyun quickly recognized her. It was Yoonha. Yoonha approached them with a gentle smile. Her soft pink lips curved sweetly as she casually played with a strand of her hair while walking. When she reached them, she looked at Jihyun and asked lightly if she had just mentioned someone named Kim Jihsoo. At that moment, Aerin frowned. Her eyes sharply shifted toward Yoonha. Chapter 45. Jihyun looked at Yoonha with curiosity and asked what had brought her there. She mentioned that Yoonha was usually cooped up in the student council office. Then she asked if Yoonha was looking for Jihsoo. Yoonha softly replied that she was not. She had only been walking around and happened to see Jihyun. She added that Jihyun's friend Jihsoo probably just had the same name as someone she knew. Jihyun nodded and said that made sense. Jihsoo was a very common name. Beside them, Aerin glanced quietly at Yoonha. Yoonha's appearance was carefully styled: natural wavy hair, contact lenses, long lashes, subtle nude eyeshadow, and orange coral lipstick that looked like it had been done by a professional makeup artist. Aerin felt unimpressed. In her mind, she thought that Yoonha really put far too much effort into dressing herself. Without saying anything, Aerin reached for the classroom door handle and quietly pulled the door closed behind them. Inside the classroom, Jihsoo was resting her head on her desk, wearing headphones. Outside, Yoonha and Jihyun continued chatting. Yoonha asked if Aerin was Jihyun's friend. Jihyun answered softly that Aerin was the same age as Yoonha and that Jihsoo was in the same class as her. Yoonha nodded lightly and said she understood. Jihyun then asked if Yoonha wanted to come inside and take a look. She joked that Jihsoo was probably the type Yoonha would like to look at. Yoonha chuckled softly. She teased Jihyun, asking if she meant the nerdy type. Then she said that Jihyun would not believe how many good-looking nerds she had bumped into lately. Aerin stood nearby, silently staring at them with a sharp gaze. Yoonha then turned toward Aerin and smiled sweetly. She asked if Aerin was the vice president's best friend. Then she introduced herself as Kang Yoonha from class 2H and said she hoped they could become friends. Aerin replied coldly that she was not looking for a friend. Yoonha blinked, surprised. For a moment she looked slightly irritated, thinking that Aerin was rather rude. But she covered it up with a fake laugh and said it was fine. Inside the classroom, Jihsoo suddenly sat up straight. She slowly removed her headphones. She thought she had just heard a familiar voice. Outside, Yoonha continued speaking. She wondered aloud if Jihsoo would mind having visitors. Then she asked if they should ask her first. Aerin glanced at Yoonha irritably before replying that Jihsoo was not feeling well and was sleeping. Jihyun immediately questioned herself what Aerin had just said. Before Aerin could speak again, she suddenly heard a voice from behind them. She froze. Jihsoo stood at the doorway. She looked hesitant, her voice slightly shaky as she called out softly, "Yoonpa?" Jihyun frowned in confusion and turned to Yoonha. She asked if Yoonha's name was not Yoonha. Yoonha fell silent and slowly turned toward Jihsoo. Jihsoo's eyes lit up with excitement as she softly called again. "Yoonpa." Recognition flashed across Yoonha's face. Her eyes widened. "Jihsoo." Yoonha rushed forward without hesitation and wrapped her arms tightly around Jihsoo, hugging her excitedly as she called Jihsoo her crybaby. Aerin's eyes widened. She froze where she stood. And for the first time since earlier that day, something sharp and unfamiliar twisted inside her chest. Jealousy. Chapter 46. Aerin stared at them angrily, wondering what Yoonha meant by calling Jihsoo her crybaby. Jihsoo quickly told Yoonha not to call her that anymore. Yoonha smiled slightly and asked why. Did she not cry anymore? She hugged Yoonha again, her smile bright as she said she was so happy to see her after such a long time. Aerin stood silently nearby, frowning as she watched them with growing jealousy. Yoonha then gently held Jihsoo's face and told her to come closer so she could look at her properly. Jihsoo laughed softly, closing one eye while telling Yoonha to wait because of her glasses. Yoonha studied her face for a moment before smiling warmly. She told Jihsoo that she looked beautiful and that even her pimples were completely gone. Jihsoo laughed in embarrassment and asked Yoonha why she had never seen her around school if they were attending the same place. She asked which class Yoonha was in. Yoonha explained that her classroom was upstairs. She had transferred 2 months ago, but rarely left the student council office unless she had work to do. That was probably why they had never run into each other. Jihsoo nodded and said it made sense. She added that Yoonha had suddenly disappeared after middle school. Yoonha apologized and explained that her family had been busy dealing with many business matters at the time. Jihsoo smiled and said that meeting again like this must be fate. Yoonha agreed. She added that Jihsoo had become even prettier and more adorable than before. She even pretended to sob dramatically as she called Jihsoo. Behind them, Aerin felt like she was burning with jealousy. Jihyun quietly observed her reaction. After a moment, Jihyun softly commented that the two of them looked cute together. She started to say that if she had known earlier, but before she could finish, Aerin interrupted sharply saying that Yoonha and Jihsoo were gross. She turned away from them. Jihyun looked confused and asked where Aerin was going. Aerin coldly reminded her that they were supposed to go to the library and told her to come along. She started walking away, convincing herself that there was nothing special about what she had just seen. Jihsoo was simply the type of person who was nice to everyone. But suddenly Aerin froze. Behind her, Yunha had asked Jihsoo how things were going with her girlfriend. Aerin slowly turned back. Her mind raced. How did Yunha know about that? Jihsoo looked confused too, and was about to ask Yunha the same question. But Yunha interrupted her, explaining that Jihyun had told her. Jihsoo nodded quietly. Then Yunha looked at her more carefully. Jisoo's expression dimmed slightly. She lowered her gaze for a moment before turning her head away. Then she looked back toward Aerin in the distance. Yunha softly called her name. And that was when Jihsoo answered. She said she had never had a girlfriend. There was nothing between them. Aerin's eyes widened in shock. A deep frown formed on her face as jealousy tightened painfully in her chest. For a moment, she could not speak. She stared at Jihsoo, an unfamiliar feeling of regret and pity stirring inside her. Yunha frowned slightly as she looked at Jihsoo lowering her head. She wondered who could have dared to break Jisoo's heart. Gently, Yunha reached out and held Jisoo's hand. She told her softly that it was okay. Then, with a charming smile, Yunha asked if Jihsoo wanted to come to her house that night. They could have a sleepover just like they used to. Aerin's jealousy burned even stronger. A sleepover? Chapter 47. At night. Outside Jisoo's apartment building, Aerin stood alone in the corner beside the stairs. The dim hallway light barely reached where she was standing, leaving her half hidden in shadow. I should just go home, she told herself for the 100th time. 20 minutes had already passed since she arrived. The night air was growing colder, and she rubbed her arms lightly as a small shiver ran through her. Aerin glanced toward Jisoo's apartment. She reminded herself that whatever Jihsoo decided to do with Yunha had nothing to do with her. But the moment she thought of leaving, an image flashed through her mind. Yunha smiling as she asked Jihsoo to have a sleepover. She imagined the two of them sitting on Jisoo's bed, talking and laughing the way old friends did. The thought tightened something unpleasant inside her chest. She wants not going anywhere, Aerin mumbled stubbornly. Aerin quietly pulled out her phone. For a moment, she wondered if she should call Jihsoo first. Then she realized something that made her sigh in frustration. She didn't even have Jisoo's number. As she stood there questioning what she was supposed to do, a voice suddenly spoke from behind her asking why she was standing there. Aerin jumped in shock and quickly turned around. A man was standing behind her, looking at her with suspicion. It was Jisoo's uncle. He stepped closer and grabbed Aerin by the collar, staring at her in disbelief, as if trying to figure out why she was lingering outside the apartment. Inside Jisoo's apartment, the hallway was dim and quiet. Through a slightly open door, a soft yellow light spilled from the living room. Jihsoo slowly stepped inside. Her eyes immediately landed on Aerin. Her expression was quiet, cold. Aerin awkwardly cleared her throat. The atmosphere between them felt tense and uncomfortable. She turned her head away slightly, clearly not interested in talking. After a moment, Jihsoo spoke and said that if Aerin didn't have anything to say, she should just leave. Aerin blinked in confusion. She frowned slightly. Jihsoo looked colder than she expected. Trying to sound casual, Aerin asked where Yunha was and whether she was coming over. Jihsoo slowly turned to look at her. Her eyes were sharp as she asked Aerin why. Aerin quietly replied that she only curious.
Jihsoo said nothing.
The silence returned. Aerin hesitated before speaking once more. Since Yunha wasn't there yet, she suggested that maybe they could talk. Jihsoo remained completely still. Aerin finally said that it was about their breakup. She wondered if maybe they would be better off becoming friends instead. Jisoo's expression hardened immediately. She told Aerin that doesn't want a friend. Her voice was firm and cold. She added that she had already had enough of seeing Aerin's face. The words landed heavily, leaving Aerin standing there in stunned silence. Jihsoo pushed herself away from the wardrobe. She said that her only friend would be arriving soon and that Aerin should leave before that happened. Then she turned and began to walk away. Aerin lowered her gaze, her thoughts tangled with hesitation and regret. For a moment, she couldn't speak. But just as Jihsoo was about to leave the room, Aerin gathered her courage and reached forward. Her fingers caught Jihsoo's sleeve. Jihsoo stopped. Erin's voice came out soft and uncertain as she asked what she should do so that Jihsoo would stop being angry with her. Chapter 48. Jihsoo was stunned when Aerin softly asked what she could do for her. Aerin continued, saying she only wanted to know what she should do so Jihsoo would stop being mad at her. For a brief moment, something inside Jihsoo melted. Her mind went blank. Jihsoo began questioning herself, wondering if she had heard it correctly. Her eyes widened. It felt impossible. Aerin quickly covered her mouth and looked away, suddenly realizing what she had just said. Jihsoo stared at her in disbelief, wondering how Aerin could even make such an expression after everything that had happened. Jihsoo told Aerin she didn't understand. She asked what Aerin was trying to do by making that kind of face and asking something like that. Aerin began to sweat nervously. She tried to explain, but the words refused to come out properly. Panic quickly took over her expression. Aerin hurriedly said she had only been joking and asked if Jihsoo could pretend she hadn't heard what she just said. She lowered her gaze and apologized, admitting that she had blurted it out without thinking. Before she could finish speaking, Jihsoo interrupted her. Jihsoo asked what she meant by joking. Her expression darkened. The next second, Jihsoo angrily grabbed Aerin by the arms. Her grip tightened as she stared at her. Her hands trembled slightly, though it was unclear whether it was from anger or something else. Jihsoo demanded to know if Aerin thought it was funny to lead her on with another stupid joke. She asked Aerin why she always loved joking when it came to her. Her voice grew sharper as she continued, asking what the matter with her was. Jihsoo added that Aerin had not even given a single reason for why she kept playing with her feelings. Her anger continued to rise. Jihsoo said that Aerin had the nerve to show up with that kind of face, asking her to stop being angry, and she could not understand how Aerin could do such a thing. Aerin froze where she stood. Her eyes widened slightly as she stared at Jihsoo. For a moment, she could not say anything at all. She admitted that she had once thought Aerin was different from the others. Her expression hardened as she continued, saying that Aerin had turned out to be just like them after all. Just another liar. Aerin stayed silent for a moment before finally telling Jihsoo to let her go. Her voice was colder now. She added that it was not as if she had been begging for Jihsoo's forgiveness anyway. Aerin admitted that she had hurt Jihsoo, but she also told her not to make it sound as if Jihsoo was the only one who felt uneasy. With a sudden motion, Aerin pushed Jihsoo's arms away. She said that Jihsoo could not even understand what she had been trying to say. Jihsoo, still furious, admitted that she did not understand at all. She asked how she was supposed to understand when all of Aerin's words were so unclear. Aerin frowned. Her patience finally snapped as she angrily asked why everything had to become her fault and why Jihsoo could not try to understand faster. The argument quickly escalated. Both of them began shouting at each other in the quiet room. Eventually, Jihsoo lowered her gaze and held her forehead as if the argument had given her a headache. She muttered that it was stupid and that talking to her made her head spin. Then she said they should just leave it at that. The words stung more than Aerin expected. Aerin quietly said that she was done talking to Jihsoo too. Her voice sounded more hurt than angry now. She added that she should never have come there in the first place. Turning away, Aerin began to walk toward the door. She told Jihsoo to move aside because she did not want to stay there any longer. Just as the tension between them reached its peak, the front door suddenly opened. Both of them froze. A cheerful voice immediately filled the apartment. Yunha walked in with a bright smile on her face, happily announcing that she had brought some video games for Jihsoo. She casually called Jihsoo baby as she stepped further inside. But the moment Yunha noticed Aerin standing there, her smile faded. She stopped walking. Then she slowly asked Jihsoo what was going on, reminding her that she thought it would only be the two of them that night. Jihsoo suddenly looked nervous. She tried to explain the situation, though the words did not come out smoothly. Beside her, Aerin remained completely silent. Her sharp gaze was fixed on Yunha. Then, without warning, Aerin's expression changed. A small, Polite smile appeared on her face as she greeted Yunha warmly. She casually mentioned that it seemed like she would be staying the night. Chapter 49. In the kitchen. The kitchen was warm from the simmering hot pot on the stove. Steam slowly rose from the pot, carrying the strong scent of spices into the air. Aerin sits behind the counter, looking slightly hesitant. After a moment, she politely told Yunha that she couldn't handle spicy food and asked if she could avoid adding too much pepper. Yunha paused. She slowly turned to look at Aerin while holding a teaspoon of spice in her hand. For a brief moment, she remained silent, as if surprised by the request. Then she apologized and said that she had forgotten to ask earlier. Yunha explained that since they had already agreed to have hot pot, she had already added bamboo shoots, vegetables, and several sauces that Jihsoo loved. She continued speaking casually, saying that since Aerin had not said anything before, she had simply assumed that Aerin had the same food preferences as Jihsoo. Yunha mentioned that Jihsoo loved spicy food, adored sushi, and had a weakness for anything sweet like chocolate. She added that it made going out to eat together very easy. Jihsoo remained silent while preparing the ingredients. Yunha then turned toward her and asked if Jihsoo was still allergic to seafood. Jihsoo quietly confirmed it. Beside them, Aerin looked sharply at Jihsoo. For a moment, a strange thought crossed her mind. She wondered if Yunha was subtly boasting. Jihsoo continued cutting ingredients on the counter. She carefully sliced a sweet potato with steady movements, avoiding eye contact with Aerin. Aerin turned to look at her. Her thoughts slowly drifted elsewhere. Ever since she had said she would stay the night, Jihsoo had not spoken to her once. She had not even looked at her. Aerin began to question why Yunha's presence suddenly bothered her so much, even though they were barely interacting with each other. Yet there was something unmistakable between Yunha and Jihsoo. It felt like they shared a natural chemistry. Aerin could sense it clearly. It was almost as if the two of them had a secret language that she could not understand. Aerin frowned slightly and lowered her gaze. She questioned herself again, wondering why she suddenly felt so left out. The feeling seemed ridiculous. After a moment, she looked back at Jihsoo. Jihsoo deserved to have friends. She deserved to be happy. After all, Jihsoo had been lonely too. Aerin thought that she should have supported her more and encouraged her to spend time with her friends. It was obvious that Jihsoo did not want her there. Aerin quietly admitted to herself that she was probably just being possessive and insecure. Suddenly, the memory of Yunha and Jihsoo hugging flashed through her mind. The more she thought about it, the more irritated she became. She remembered how easily Jihsoo had smiled at Yunha earlier. The sparkle in Jisoo's eyes had appeared so naturally. The image in her mind shifted. She imagined Jihsoo and Yunha together happily, talking and laughing. Yunha had been Jisoo's childhood best friend. She was outgoing, cheerful, and fun. In Aerin's mind, Yunha seemed like everything Jihsoo could possibly want. The image shifted again. Yunha's confident smile appeared in her thoughts. Maybe that was what bothered Aerin the most. Yunha carried herself so confidently that it made Aerin feel like an outsider in her own relationship. Suddenly, Aerin's thoughts stopped. Her mind went completely blank. A realization struck her. Without warning, Aerin stood up. Both Jihsoo and Yunha glanced toward her. Aerin quietly picked up her coat and held it in her arms. Then she turned and began walking toward the door. Yunha followed her movement with her eyes and asked where she was going. Aerin replied calmly that she was going home. Yunha said nothing after that. She simply watched as Aerin opened the door and left. The door slammed shut loudly behind her. Inside the kitchen, Jihsoo sat completely still. For a moment she remained silent, gripping the knife in her hand. Then she slowly looked up at Yunha. Suddenly, Jihsoo broke down crying. Yunha was shocked by the sudden outburst. The spoon she had been holding slipped from her hand and clattered loudly onto the floor. Yunha quickly rushed closer, dramatically asking Jihsoo what was wrong. Jihsoo cried out in frustration, asking how Aerin could do that to her. Her voice trembled as she said that Aerin always came and went whenever she wanted without saying a single word. Again and again, Jihsoo asked how Aerin could do that to her. At Aerin's apartment. Aerin arrived at her apartment a short while later. She opened the door roughly and slammed it hard against the wall. The loud noise startled her cat, which immediately jumped away in fright. Aerin stood there breathing heavily. Her chest rose and fell rapidly as sweat formed on her forehead. She leaned against the door, trying to steady herself. Her heart was racing uncontrollably. A faint blush slowly spread across her face as she nervously repeated the same thought over and over in her mind, that it was impossible. Chapter 50. Aerin sat at her desk late at night, the faint glow of her computer screen lighting the room. Papers were scattered beside her keyboard as she slowly typed and searched for answers. Her cat sat nearby on the desk, watching her with curious eyes. Aerin carefully typed another question into the search bar. What does it mean when your heart races for someone? Several results appeared on the screen. The first panel explained that a racing heart could simply be anxiety or panic disorder caused by the release of hormones like adrenaline and dopamine. Another panel suggested it might be related to underlying heart conditions such as arrhythmia or tachycardia. Aerin narrowed her eyes as she read. Then another article caught her attention. 5 reasons you feel anxious around someone. Sometimes the heart knows what the mind refuses to acknowledge. Aerin immediately frowned. She quietly denied it to herself, insisting that none of that applied to her. She told herself that she already understood exactly what she was feeling. Her eyes drifted further down the page. Someone in the comment section had posted a question that sounded strangely similar to her own situation, asking others for their opinions. Beside the keyboard, her cat stared at the screen as if silently judging her while she continued scrolling. Suddenly, an advertisement popped up. It asked if she had considered taking a short quiz that could provide insight and prompts for self-reflection. Aerin stared at it in confusion. After a moment of hesitation, she clicked on it. The quiz began immediately. The first question appeared on the screen. How often do you think about this person? Aerin casually selected the option that said she occasionally thought about that person from time to time. She leaned back in her chair, unimpressed. Another question appeared. When you have a disagreement or conflict with this person, how do you react? Aerin chose the answer stating that it deeply affected her and that she wanted to resolve the issue and preserve the relationship. She continued answering without much thought. The 5th question appeared. How do you behave around this person? Aerin selected the option saying that she acted somewhat differently and often felt unsure about how to behave around them. She clicked through the next few questions quickly. Then the 10th question appeared. How do you feel when that person shows affection or attention to someone else? Aerin suddenly stopped. Her hand hovered over the mouse. For the first time since starting the quiz, she couldn't choose an answer. Her cat blinked slowly beside her as if waiting for the outcome. At Jihsoo's apartment, Jihsoo sat beside Yunha, completely focused on the screen. Across the room, loud sound effects from a video game echoed through Jihsoo's apartment. Her eyebrows lifted in concentration as she controlled her character. On the screen, Yunha's character appeared in front of her. Jihsoo smirked slightly. In her mind, she imagined that Yunha's character was actually Aerin. Jihsoo loudly declared that look who it is, the one who doesn't even have her phone number. Yunha's character tried to move as if explaining something, but Jihsoo's character suddenly delivered a flying kick, knocking her across the screen. Jihsoo announced that she should get out of her life. Yunha raised an eyebrow while still concentrating on the game. She told Jihsoo that she honestly could not believe she had still been so nice to Aerin. Yunha added that she thought the two of them were supposed to be close friends. She said it was unfair how Aerin had treated her. Yunha continued, explaining that Jihsoo could not keep sacrificing her own happiness for someone who clearly did not care about her. Jihsoo kept playing for a moment before replying. She admitted that after thinking about it more, she felt like something deeper might be going on with Aerin. Yunha glanced at her with concern. She gently told Jihsoo that instead of constantly trying to understand Aerin, she should ask herself whether that was the kind of relationship she actually deserved. Jihsoo shrugged slightly. She said she did not know, but Aerin had always found a way to keep her distance from her. She asked why Jihsoo kept trying to make excuses for Aerin. Jihsoo went quiet. The game continued playing on the screen, but her attention slowly faded. After a moment, she carefully set her controller down. She spoke more softly now. Jihsoo said that when she and Aerin had finally become friends, she thought maybe things would change. She admitted that maybe she had just been fooling herself the entire time. Yunha looked at her carefully, listening. Jihsoo continued calmly. She said that she had always believed that if she held on long enough, Aerin would eventually realize how much she liked her. Her voice shifted slightly as she folded her arms. Jihsoo explained that she had seen the worst sides of Aerin. She had been there when Aerin lost her temper. She had been there when Aerin cried. Jihsoo had witnessed everything. Because of that, she believed Aerin might be going through struggles of her own. Yunha shook her head. She disagreed firmly. Whether Aerin had personal issues or not, Yunha said that it still did not justify treating someone like a game. Jihsoo looked at her quietly and slowly nodded. Then she turned away and looked down. She admitted that Aerin had always sent her mixed signals. After a moment, Jihsoo gently leaned her head against Yunha's shoulder. Her voice softened as she said that someday she would forget everything about Aerin. On Aerin's side, back in Aerin's room, the computer screen suddenly flashed brightly. A large message appeared across the screen. Congratulations. You love her. Aerin stared at the words. Her eyes widened in complete disbelief. Her face slowly twisted into a deep frown. Then she suddenly collapsed backward onto the floor, as if her soul had just left her body. She lay there motionless, staring blankly at the ceiling. Beside her, the cat simply sat and looked down at her in silent judgment. Chapter 51. Jihsoo and Aerin never spoke again after what had happened at Jihsoo's apartment. Days passed in an uneasy silence between them. Jihsoo eventually convinced herself that Aerin had simply lost interest in using her as a source of amusement. She could not tell whether Aerin's sudden distance was out of anger or some strange consideration for her feelings. But at the very least, Aerin had stopped appearing unexpectedly. Unlike before, she no longer intruded into Jihsoo's time with Yunha. In a strange way, Jihsoo thought it might have been a blessing in disguise. If things continued like this, maybe their problems would simply disappear on their own. Inside the counselor's office, Jihyun stood across from Aerin, studying her carefully. She gently asked if something had been bothering her lately. Jihyun mentioned that Aerin had seemed distant recently, especially when it came to Jihsoo. Aerin quickly brushed the concern aside. She casually replied that Jihsoo had simply become too clingy. She added that Jihyun already knew her. According to Aerin, she had only told Jihsoo that she needed some space. Jihyun looked slightly puzzled. She admitted that she thought the two of them had been getting along well and asked what had changed. Aerin's expression turned colder. She simply replied that things had become complicated. Jihyun looked concerned and asked if Aerin wanted to talk about it. After a moment of hesitation, Aerin admitted that she did not know what to do. She explained that she had always thought of Jihsoo as nothing more than a friend. But now Jihsoo seemed to want something more serious. Jihyun frowned slightly in confusion. She wondered if that was why Aerin had suddenly built a wall between them. Then Jihyun spoke more gently. She said that sometimes Aerin seemed afraid of getting hurt or opening up to someone. Jihyun added that she understood that Aerin might only be trying to protect herself. Calmly and thoughtfully, Jihyun suggested that Aerin try putting herself in Jihsoo's position for a moment. She pointed out that Aerin had a habit of pushing people away whenever they got too close. Jihyun assured her that Jihsoo genuinely cared about her. Cutting her off so abruptly could hurt Jihsoo deeply. As Jihyun spoke, a sudden image flashed through Aerin's mind. She remembered seeing Jihyun and Yoonhee together. Jihyun had always been a thoughtful and considerate person, but watching her stand so closely beside Yoonhee had left Aerin feeling strangely uncomfortable. There had been no real reason for the feeling, no deeper meaning behind it. Yet whenever she saw Jihsoo with Yunha, something unpleasant stirred inside her. And strangely enough, whenever she saw Jihsoo with Yunha, she felt the same sudden wave of jealousy. Jihyun's voice suddenly broke through her thoughts. She asked, half surprised, whether Aerin had started developing feelings for Jihsoo. Aerin immediately looked at her in panic. She raised her voice, insisting that the idea was ridiculous. Under her breath, Aerin muttered dismissively that there was nothing particularly special about Jihsoo. Girls like her could be found anywhere. Just then, someone called Jihyun's name from the doorway. Both Aerin and Jihyun turned their heads. Jihsoo was standing quietly by the door. Jihyun asked her what had brought her there. Jihsoo calmly replied that she was looking for Yunha. She mentioned that Yunha had called her earlier. At the sound of Yunha's name, Aerin's frown deepened. Jihyun nodded and told Jihsoo that Yunha was there. She added that she would go and call her. Jihsoo politely thanked her. As soon as Jihyun left the room, the atmosphere immediately grew heavy. Only Jihsoo and Aerin remained inside. Neither of them relaxed their guard. They avoided looking at each other completely. For a moment, the room felt unbearably quiet. Aerin eventually stole a glance at Jihsoo. Jihsoo stood calmly near the door, looking down as she waited for Yunha to arrive. Then Aerin noticed something. Her eyes narrowed slightly. There was a faint kissing mark on Jisoo's neck. Aerin's eyebrows slowly lifted. A sharp wave of jealousy suddenly rose inside her. She stared at the mark, silently questioning what she was seeing. Without wanting to, Aerin's thoughts began forming an image in her mind. Jisoo and Yunha together. Aerin immediately tried to push the thought away. She refused to believe that Yunha could be the one responsible for it. Chapter 52. At the hallway, Yunha casually reached out and held Jisoo by the neck, her expression full of concern. Jisoo quickly told her not to worry about it and said that earlier. Before she could finish her sentence, Yunha gently interrupted and suggested that they should talk somewhere else. Behind them, Aerin stood silently. Her eyes were fixed on the two of them. She watched the casual way Yunha touched Jisoo, the closeness between them. The sight made something twist sharply inside her chest. Aerin bit her lip in frustration. Before she could stop herself, she suddenly rushed forward and grabbed Jisoo's wrist. Jisoo looked startled. Aerin did not say anything as she pulled Jisoo away, gripping her arm firmly and dragging her toward the bathroom. Jisoo's voice immediately rose in confusion and irritation as she demanded that Aerin let go of her and asked what she was doing. She forcefully tried to remove Aerin's hand from her arm, repeatedly telling her to let go. Once they were inside the bathroom, Jisoo turned to her angrily. She demanded to know what Aerin's problem was and why she had dragged her there. Aerin's expression darkened. She snapped back that the problem was Jisoo. She could not believe Jisoo had the audacity to act innocent. Aerin's jealousy quickly rose to the surface as she pointed toward Jisoo's neck. She demanded to know how Jisoo could show up at school with such a visible kissing mark. Her finger hovered accusingly near Jisoo's neck as she told her to look at it herself. Jisoo instinctively tried to cover the mark. She began trying to explain herself, but then suddenly paused. Her brows furrowed in confusion as she asked why everyone seemed so curious about it. Aerin stared at her in disbelief. She bluntly told Jisoo that she was being stupid because anyone who saw such a suspicious mark would obviously ask questions. Then Aerin demanded to know where she had gotten it. Jisoo opened her mouth to explain again, but then stopped herself. Her expression hardened. She told Aerin that she had no intention of sharing that information with her and that it was not as if Aerin cared anyway. Aerin frowned deeply. She asked Jisoo whether it really mattered if she cared or not, especially considering their past relationship, whether as friends or girlfriends. Aerin asked if Jisoo could simply answer the question. Jisoo immediately snapped back that she did not want to answer. Her voice turned sharp as she reminded Aerin that they were not involved in any kind of relationship anymore. She added that they both knew how everything had ended, because Aerin had only pretended to like her. According to Jisoo, the entire thing had only been a game for Aerin. The words struck Aerin hard. Her expression shifted, sadness briefly flashing across her face.
Jisoo continued speaking.
She asked why it suddenly bothered Aerin now, when she had always looked down on her before. Jisoo admitted that she had never expected their meeting to be pleasant. She asked Aerin to stop feeding her false hope. Aerin looked at her quietly before asking a single question. She wondered if Jisoo was saying that she still liked her. Jisoo froze. For a moment she could not say anything. Then a hollow chuckle escaped her. She looked down for a brief second before lifting her head again. This time her eyes were filled with anger. Jisoo admitted that she still had feelings for Aerin. Her voice trembled slightly as she continued speaking. She said she wished she could claim that she hated Aerin. Jihsoo admitted that she had wanted to be angry at her, to lash out, to make Aerin feel the same pain she had been forced to endure. Aerin lowered her gaze. Jihsoo continued, saying that Aerin had clearly never intended to return her feelings in the first place. Aerin's fists slowly clenched. Her anger quietly grew. Jihsoo asked Aerin if it even made any difference whether she still liked her or not. Jihsoo suddenly burst out in anger. She repeatedly shouted that it did not change anything. She reminded Aerin again and again that the person Aerin truly liked was Jihyun, not her. Nothing was going to change that. Jisoo's eyes sparkled with emotion as she finished speaking. But before she could say anything else, Aerin suddenly stepped forward. Without warning, Aerin rushed closer and gently kissed her. The kiss was soft, but the tension between them instantly grew heavier. Chapter 53. Jisoo's eyes widened at the sudden action. Aerin slowly tilted her head as she pulled back from the kiss. For a moment, she looked just as surprised as Jihsoo. Almost awkwardly, Aerin gently pushed Jihsoo away. Both of them froze in place, their faces flushed with embarrassment. Aerin quickly tried to explain herself. She admitted that things between them had become complicated and that her actions might have come across as rude. Jihsoo still looked completely stunned. Her eyes were wide as she stared at Aerin. Aerin then told her that there was something she needed to say. Jisoo's legs began trembling slightly as she slowly stepped backward. Aerin started to stutter as she tried to explain. She said she had been feeling strangely confused lately, like she had suddenly realized something. Maybe it was possible that, before Aerin could finish speaking, Jihsoo suddenly snapped back to reality. The shock overwhelmed her. She slowly sank down onto the floor, looking confused and panicked. Aerin stared at her, clearly puzzled, and asked what was wrong with her. Jihsoo turned her face away and covered her mouth. Her voice trembled as she asked Aerin why she had kissed her when she supposedly liked Jihyun. Aerin immediately panicked. She began stuttering before finally blurting out that she had kissed her because she wanted to. Then her expression suddenly shifted to irritation. Aerin demanded to know who had said anything about Jihyun and asked why Jihsoo kept bringing her up. She added that she only wanted to apologize for how she had behaved in the past. Jihsoo slowly raised an eyebrow. Looking shy and uncertain, she began asking if Aerin meant that but the words would not come out. She still could not believe what had just happened. Jihsoo continued speaking hesitantly, reminding Aerin that she had just kissed her and asking if that meant. Before she could finish, Aerin suddenly grabbed the front of Jisoo's shirt and pulled her back up to her feet. Panic rushed across Aerin's face. She quickly told Jihsoo, almost desperately, that she did not like her. She repeated it again and again. The two of them stood there staring at each other, both blushing awkwardly. Jihsoo quietly responded that it was fine. Aerin's expression immediately turned frustrated. She demanded to know what Jihsoo meant by fine and insisted that they should not even consider dating each other now. Jihsoo looked at her nervously. She replied that she would not date someone who claimed they did not like her. Aerin looked even more irritated, as if struck by lightning. She angrily asked if Jihsoo was stupid and demanded to know if she was playing hard to get. Jihsoo calmly answered that she simply did not believe Aerin. She said she could not be sure whether Aerin was just trying to fool her again. Aerin's jealousy suddenly resurfaced. She asked if Jihsoo was dating Yunha. Jihsoo looked confused by the question and immediately said that she was not. The bathroom suddenly fell into an uneasy silence. Aerin quietly turned her face away. Both of them were still sitting on the bathroom floor. After a moment, Aerin grabbed Jihsoo by the arm and dragged her toward one of the bathroom cubicles. She pushed the door open and made Jihsoo sit down on the toilet seat. Aerin then knelt down in front of her. A faint smirk appeared on her lips as she looked up at Jihsoo. In a low voice, she demanded that Jihsoo take her clothes off. Chapter 54. At the bathroom cubicle. Jihsoo finally spoke, her voice shaky as she asked Aerin if she could stop now. Jihsoo looked up nervously on Aerin. She sat nervously on the toilet seat, trying to cover herself while looking down at Aerin. Her face was red with embarrassment. Jihsoo told Aerin that she had already gone too far. She asked why Aerin had dragged her into the bathroom like this, and firmly said that she would not take off any more of her clothes. She warned Aerin not to come any closer. Aerin looked irritated. She coldly told Jihsoo to shut up because she was starting to annoy her. Jihsoo frowned slightly. She told Aerin to stop playing games and just say what she wanted before leaving. Then she raised an eyebrow and nervously added that someone might walk in and catch them. Aerin answered calmly that if that happened, Jihsoo would be the one in trouble. Jihsoo blinked in confusion. She asked why only she would be in trouble and not Aerin. Jihsoo added that if something really happened, Aerin could just come with her and face the consequences together. She replied that she had nothing to be embarrassed about because it was not as if she was planning to do anything disgraceful or treat Jihsoo like a meal. She reminded Jihsoo that she had undressed herself and said that she had not even laid a finger on her. Jihsoo quickly covered her mouth and looked down nervously. Then Aerin pointed at the mark on Jisoo's neck. She asked if Jihsoo thought it was cool to walk around school showing something like that. Jihsoo looked confused, still holding her arms across her chest. Aerin pointed again. She told Jihsoo that she could only see one kissing mark. Jihsoo tried to make sense of what Aerin was saying. A teasing tone slipped into her voice as she asked what it had to do with Aerin even if there were more. Erin's eyes narrowed in irritation. She asked Jihsoo if she wanted to get punched. Jihsoo immediately sat up straight. She nervously said that Aerin was violent, which was exactly why she had listened when Aerin told her to remove her shirt. Then she hesitated before awkwardly asking if Aerin could stop making her do things she did not want to do. Aerin leaned closer. Her expression softened slightly as she quietly apologized. Aerin repeated the apology again in a teasing tone. Jihsoo looked confused. Then she admitted that she only wanted to know if there were more marks like that on Jisoo's body. Jihsoo began sweating nervously. She quickly explained that it had only been a small accident. Aerin gently grabbed both of Jisoo's arms and looked at her seriously. She demanded that Jihsoo say it was just a bug bite. Jihsoo blinked in confusion. She told Aerin that it was not a bug bite. Jihsoo started to explain that it had something to do with a friend, but then she suddenly stopped herself. She brushed it off and told Aerin that it would be better if she did not know. Aerin looked even more curious. She demanded to know why she should not know and insisted that Jihsoo tell her quickly. Before she could finish speaking, a soft voice suddenly echoed from outside the bathroom. Someone was calling Jisoo's name. Both of them froze. Yoonha slowly entered the restroom, her voice cautious, as she called out for Jihsoo. She mentioned that she thought she had heard Jisoo's voice earlier, but was not completely sure. Aerin turned her head when she heard footsteps approaching. The sound grew closer. Then suddenly an idea appeared in Aerin's mind. A faint smirk slowly formed on her lips. She leaned closer to Jihsoo and quietly whispered for her to stay silent and play along. Outside, Yoonha slowly walked further inside the bathroom. Her footsteps gradually approached the last cubicle where Aerin and Jihsoo were hiding. Aerin leaned closer to Jisoo's ear. In a teasing whisper, she warned that if Jihsoo did not cooperate, she would let Yoonha know that the two of them were inside together. Before Jihsoo could react, Aerin pressed her soft lips against Jisoo's neck. Jihsoo froze. Aerin slowly moved lower, her lips brushing against Jisoo's skin. Jihsoo remained silent, her face burning red. The tension between them grew hotter. Then Aerin gently bit Jisoo's shoulder near her neck. Outside the cubicle, Yoonha had already reached the final stall. She stood quietly in front of the door. For a moment she simply stared at it, sensing that someone was inside. Chapter 55. Aerin leaned closer and softly whispered into Jisoo's ear, telling her not to answer Yoonha. Just beyond the thin door, Yoonha's voice called out. She asked if the person inside the cubicle was Jihsoo. Jihsoo froze. Aerin gently held Jisoo's face, her fingers firm yet careful, silently urging her to stay quiet. Jihsoo stood there for a moment, gripping Aerin's shirt tightly as if trying to steady herself. Then Jihsoo finally answered, her voice trembling slightly as she admitted that she was there. Aerin's expression immediately darkened with irritation. She had told Jihsoo not to respond. Without warning, Aerin lifted her hand and pressed her thumb against Jisoo's lips, slowly parting them. Her thumb brushed across Jisoo's lower lip, tracing it lightly. Jisoo's face flushed instantly. Stunned and flustered, she whispered for Aerin to stop. Outside the cubicle, Yoonha's voice shifted with confusion and growing concern. She asked Jisoo what was wrong, mentioning that she had heard strange noises earlier. Yoonha stepped closer to the door, clearly worried. Inside, Jisoo tried to answer, but her words came out in broken pieces. She stuttered and struggled to form a proper explanation. Yoonha's worry deepened as she asked again what was wrong. Jisoo quickly said that she was just fixing her makeup. A brief pause followed before Yoonha let out a small breath of relief. She admitted that Jisoo had scared her for a moment because her voice sounded strange. Then Yoonha asked why Jisoo had been whispering. Jisoo tried to explain again, but her voice kept faltering. Her face burned with embarrassment as she pushed Aerin's hand away from her face. Panicking, she quickly told Yoonha that she had seen a bug and didn't like it. She added that she was thankful it wasn't a spider. Jisoo then softly called Yoonha's name. Outside, Yoonha leaned one hand against the cubicle door as she responded. Jisoo forced another excuse, saying that she was on her period. Right in front of her, Aerin stood silently watching her. Jisoo continued the lie, saying that her stomach was hurting badly. She asked if Yoonha happened to have a painkiller and if she could take a tablet. Yoonha leaned closer to the door, pressing her ear slightly against it. Her eyebrows lifted in confusion as she answered that she did have some medicine with her. She asked if the pain was really that bad. Jisoo quietly confirmed that it was. Yoonha then told her to wait for a moment and said she would be right back. A moment later, Yoonha hurried away to get the pill. The sound of the restroom door closing echoed faintly. Suddenly, everything became quiet. Jisoo immediately pushed Aerin back and told her that Yoonha had already left, ordering her to move away. Aerin hesitated, her brows slightly furrowed. But instead of stepping back, she suddenly grabbed Jisoo's shirt and pulled her closer. Her eyes sharpened as she demanded to know why Jisoo had not listened to her. Aerin reminded her that she had clearly told Jisoo not to answer. She started to say that Yoonha had almost found them. Before she could finish, Jisoo grabbed Aerin's wrist tightly. Her voice rose sharply as she shouted for Aerin to get away from her. Aerin stared at her in shock, asking what she meant. Jisoo suddenly shoved her hard and repeated the words again and again, telling her to get away. Without another word, Jisoo turned and began walking away. Behind her, Aerin called out her name loudly, asking where she was going. Jisoo did not stop. Panic filled Aerin's voice as she rushed after her, quickly apologizing. She caught up and grabbed Jisoo's wrist, asking why she was running away. Jisoo turned back and slapped Aerin's hand away. Her voice rang out as she shouted for Aerin not to touch her. Aerin froze where she stood. The shock left her unable to say anything. She stared at Jisoo in confusion before finally asking what was wrong with her. Aerin started to say that she had already apologized. Jisoo cut her off before she could finish. Her voice rose with anger as she told Aerin to stop saying sorry when she barely meant it. Jisoo said Aerin was so wrapped up in her own fantasy that she failed to notice the shame Jisoo had felt earlier when Yoonha spoke to her. She continued, saying it had been obvious that she had not enjoyed the situation at all. Jisoo then demanded to know what had stopped Aerin from respecting her feelings. Aerin frowned deeply, trying to defend herself. She said she had never meant to make Jisoo feel that way. Jisoo replied without hesitation that she already had. Aerin tried to explain again. She said it was because Jisoo had refused to tell her whether the hickey on her neck had come from Yoonha. Aerin added that if Jisoo had not talked to Yoonha earlier, she would not have had to. Jisoo interrupted her once more. Her eyes hardened as she asked who Aerin thought she was to interfere like that. Then Jisoo asked if that was the reason Aerin had kissed her. Her voice turned colder as she questioned whether Aerin simply could not stand the thought of someone else taking away her toy. Aerin stared at her in shock, completely confused. She stuttered, insisting that she had never meant it that way. Jisoo responded coldly that Aerin's actions had been shouting exactly that. She fell silent immediately, her eyes widening slightly as the accusation sank in. Then Jisoo said something that hurt even more. She said that she hated her. The words struck Aerin like lightning. Aerin's face froze. wounded by the words. Jihsoo forced a faint smile, though it was clear that she was both upset and hurt. She told Aerin that if she had never been sincere, then she should never have made Jihsoo look forward to anything. With that, Jihsoo walked past her. Aerin remained frozen where she stood. Slowly, the meaning of Jisoo's words began to sink in. As Jihsoo walked away, she felt strangely numb, as if she were floating through the hallway, without feeling anything at all. Behind her, Aerin lowered her head. The thought echoed painfully in her mind. Jihsoo hates me. Aerin quickly turned and tried to call out Jisoo's name. But Jihsoo was already gone. The hallway felt empty. Erin's legs suddenly gave out beneath her, and she collapsed onto the floor. She hugged her knees tightly, her body trembling. Quietly, she told herself that she did not like this feeling. Covering her face with both hands, Aerin asked herself what was wrong with her. She felt overwhelmed and upset. She could not believe what she had just done. Everything felt ruined now. She had been the one who initiated the kiss, yet instead of fixing anything, she had only made Jisoo's pain worse. Aerin slowly turned her face away, hesitating as she wiped the sweat and tears from her cheek. In a quiet, shaky voice, she told herself that all of this had to stop. 3 days later, the morning was calm and warm. Sunlight filtered gently through the leaves of the tall trees surrounding the school grounds. A soft breeze moved through the branches, carrying the quiet sounds of nature. Jihsoo walked slowly along the path outside the building, passing beneath the shade of the trees. Her steps were steady, but her thoughts seemed distant. Suddenly, someone called her name loudly from behind. Jihsoo stopped. Confused, she turned around. Aerin was running toward her. Her steps were hurried, almost desperate. When she finally reached Jihsoo, she stopped just a few inches away, slightly bent forward as she tried to catch her breath. Her chest rose and fell quickly from the run. In her hand, she held a small card. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The air between them felt tense and uncertain. Then Aerin slowly extended her hand and gave the card to Jihsoo. Her fingers trembled slightly. Gathering her courage, Aerin finally spoke. She told Jihsoo that she liked her. The moment felt strangely familiar, as if history had begun repeating itself.
Thank you for watching GL Verse. If you felt the story, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. More love, more drama, and more GL stories coming your way. Until the next verse, stay in love.